Weevil says, I think it's about looking professional. I think that was in regards to you putting a vest on in the chat, complaining about it. I don't think it was all that bad. Like, I've seen worse. You know
I don't
what I
want to
mean?
like undermine my own credibility, you know? I was like, let me just take here.
I thought you were just leaning into it. You're like, I'm like a liberal, you know, degen chick. I've got like, you know, like the broad top on, like, you know. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, not frozen.
I mean, hold on, considering we have this.
This message is sponsored in part by
Kel.
I have to shield my eyes from that. Oh no!
Top is not that bad at all.
Chat, how about crystal stickers on here?
You'll be fine. You thirst trap dirty boys in the chat, and you know it. Thumbing Weevil says it's called therapy. You don't need a school counselor to talk to someone. I think that's agreeable. School counselors are, I think, overutilized for things that they shouldn't be used for. I think a school counselor should be, what kind of classes do you want to take? What do you want to be when you grow up? What can what can we do to get you there? But instead, they're being utilized as therapists, and I don't think that's the place for that. Maybe to ensure somebody feels okay, things are going on in school, something like that. That's fine. I get it. Then refer back out to the parents and say, hey, we had a conversation, and I think you need to do X, Y, and Z further or whatever. But any thoughts to that, ladies?
Yeah, I mean, like I have my own views on therapy, which could be an entirely different debate. But yeah, like this is what I came back to. I consistently said throughout the debate, I said, look, Kel, we don't need school to facilitate sports. We don't need school to facilitate counseling. We don't need school to facilitate like learning other things outside of the curriculum. So I think we like to get into this kind of tunnel vision where it's like we need this because it's worked for so long. But the fact is that just because something has done well in the past by some kind of like random statistic doesn't mean that it ought not to be changed. Like we should be constantly evolving and improving things in society, right? So other than the Bible, do not change the Bible.
I think that's fair. Werbs over on the Rumble side. Kel, with the rapid decline in student testing in the U.S. compared to the world stage, how do you justify that public schools are doing any good at all?
Well, I just see that I see so much like indoctrination, like all this ridiculous stuff, and even to what the person said last time, where it's like, how do we know that? Can you pull up the last chat? Sorry.
I have to read it because it's over on Rumble and it doesn't bring over.
Oh, never mind.
I can read it again. He says, with the rapid decline in student testing in the U.S. compared to the world stage, how do you justify that public schools are doing any good at all?
I think that's a way bigger issue, and you're looking at it's like a microcosm for a way bigger issue. It's like, I think, like I said, AI is probably playing a way bigger issue in like our rapidly deteriorating test scores in the US rather than like homeschooling versus public schooling. Like, I think the right uses that as like a inflation point. Well, I'm like, I don't want to like obfuscate myself with the right, but to be like, oh yeah, like look, all these like indoctrinated teachers who are, it's like, bro, if someone's like such a like libtard that they're like indoctrinated enough to go to school for 4 years, if they're really such a libtard, they'd like be living off government assistance and like not fucking doing shit, not going to like college for 4 years, and you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well,
but
no.
Even in the statement in and of itself, though, in student testing in the U.S. compared to the world stage, how do you justify public schools are doing any good at all? I mean, the rest of the world, public schools are doing all right if there's standardized testing, right? Like somebody's got to be doing it right. Maybe we're just doing it wrong. I don't know. That kind of seems like in and of itself kind of thing. Due to how poor the education results have become in the Western world, especially with the woke agenda, it's no wonder homeschooling has become so popular. Western world, especially with the woke agenda.
We just don't know how people are going to enforce it is my main problem. I'm like, I hope the Andrew Wilsons and the Pages of the world homeschool their children, but I'm like, for every Kelly that's having like illusions of grandeur and Captain Save-A-Ho that wants to homeschool their child, I fear for them, you know? Like, I fear for them. Like, for every Grace Thorpe, for every fucking, you know what there's reasons against it for sure.
That's fair. Paige, any thoughts to it? Are you muted? You're muted.
This is the problem, is that there's no like Kel, made a lot of points about like there's no consistency or guarantees on the homeschool side. But I mean, like, just as there's not on the public school side, and there's less predictability because it's not directed by the person that loves the kid, right? So I understand there's bad actors on both sides, but like Kel even herself conceded that love does motivate people in certain ways, and I think that is beneficial to my point that it does result in better outcomes for kids. Not always, but for the most part, right? Generally.
Yeah,
I would say 50-50. But how many kids can you name that came out of homeschooling where their parents loved them and produced good outcomes? Versus how many did I name that were like exploited? Like the Miranda Cosgroves.
It's far, like I said, it's very rare that a kid becomes famous and is exploited in that manner. It's so rare, Cal. It's not that common. I think that's a weak point in terms of your side, but it's just my position.
Fair enough. And shout out on the Buy Me a Coffee. Nathan sent 5 beers, which I think that's $25, and said, "Thanks for all you do, Sarah." Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's ever so kind. Kokomo says, "Mustody." I think if people, especially for a debate like this specifically, I think something that maybe people should consider is sending the studies they plan to use in advance of the debate. I think that would be really.
Paige tried, and I
tried, and like this is what I didn't rest on the debate, just like I didn't rest on the fact that I only got 3.5 hours of sleep. I'm doing it now. Oops. But no, like we did talk about studies. We did talk about studies in advance. I said, Kel, do you want to exchange the studies? And like she was of the same point of me. Like we have so many studies, like it's probably not going to be like a worthwhile exchange. It's going to take us forever to post these in there. Are we just fine with
like Gibbs and Grid both hadn't answered, and for the record, both of them agreed with you because Paige was the one that was like, we should show studies, and so they hadn't answered yet, and I felt like I should get back to you ASAP, and so I was like, no, magician never shows all his cards.
All his cards. Blah.
Yeah,
are you a magician?
But no, they
both were like, yeah, you should have sent them beforehand so we can reference, back them up, verify, poke holes in it.
Right.
Yeah, because what happened, right, was
lesson.
Like, sorry, this is like debate schooling and stuff like that. But what happened was that we entered into like I said, like a debate of the studies. And if we had the opportunity to review it in advance, they might not have gotten into that. So just for future debates, like I don't know if we'll have a future one, but just for future debates, I would just keep that in mind. This is why I always offer, because at least then if like you get hung up on the studies, which kind of happened, I could have said this, but I didn't, is that, okay, well, we already agreed not to exchange studies. So you can't go and like hamper on my study in the moment when neither of us have had the opportunity to extensively review each other's studies, right?
Well, I felt like you were poking holes in my studies. I kind of
well, yeah, because you did. I had no choice. You forced my hand, right? You were like, your study's crap. So I'm like, okay, well now I have to examine her study and like.
I'll have to look back at it because I felt like I wasn't trying to do that like right off the bat.
Sarah gave you a handout on that. She's like, I looked at the study.
I wouldn't have gone for that because I know we didn't exchange it. But to be fair, Sarah was like, yeah, she probably didn't know that Paige offered to.
Favor there, yeah.
You guys
definitely Paige have offered. Lesson learned.
Maybe I need to throw that into like my little things that I send to you guys before. Like with all the information, maybe I just need to say that if you plan on using studies, please send them to your person in advance, or else it's inadmissible.
No, I just didn't even know what I was like, what's the best option? And then I'm like looking back at it, I'm like, honestly though, all of the studies are going to be around the same topic. I'm like, what could you possibly reveal by like sending each other the studies? Like,
yeah, there's you're not gonna, if anything, it actually helps you both because then you can actually be on the same page and you can look at her study and say, well, actually I did look at that and actually it referenced this and maybe you missed this because it specifically said X, Y, and Z and only pertains to blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah. So it arms both of you, but also protects both of you at the same time.
Exactly.
Jess Gerald says, Paige out here like a patient mother trying to teach a dog algebra.
I always get the mom. People are like, oh, you sound like a patient mom. I'm like, I have no children. I've literally never raised a single. Well, my brother's 8 years younger.
That might be why you're so patient. There's like 2 ways you could go here. Like if you don't have kids and you don't have the stress of the day and all of these things in your face all the time, you could probably maintain a straight face. But also, if you do have kids and your day is crazy, then something like this is very easy to manage.
Yeah, my brother was a little shit when he was younger, and I had to like basically raise the kid. So yeah,
Oh,
he's
shit.
great now, but as a kid, he tried my patience many days. Yeah.
Fair enough. James says nine super chats towards the 20 super chat goal. Whoa, oh, Ice Stamy
People laugh.
says, I'm broke, so you've really got no excuse. That's fair. Thank you, Ice Stamy. Powder Dusty says, we need more homeschooling families and fewer closeted gays playing the modesty police role. And Dusty's sitting
Wow.
backstage too, waiting to come on and attack that the modesty police. Kel Study says 37 homeschoolers to 37 demographically matched traditionally schooled children, and found that homeschooled students in structured learning environments scored higher on standardized tests. Any thoughts?
No.
Yeah, I mean that supports like so they homeschool students in structured learning environments scored higher on standardized tests. That's exactly what I've been trying to say is like when a parent loves their kids, they make the best efforts to ensure that they get the best quality education. Like many parents would give the shirt off of their back to make sure that
many, but who knows how many?
We don't argue debates based on exceptions, Cal. Don't make the typical woman mistake of like relying on exceptions and anecdotals. Go by generalities. That's how we argue how rules and regulations ought to be set, right? Right. Thank you, Paige. Great point, Paige. All right.
Neve
says, we just don't know.
Whatever. Well, that's a podcast you were on. Yeah. Well, you were decently like you pretty good showing on that one. Yeah.
Did you ever
Neve says cons are always college bad. They don't value education, so it's no surprise that they would underestimate the dedication required to educate a child. It's a skeptics culture built around education bad. They have zero viable alternatives.
I'm not surprised Nev said that. I'm not surprised.
Andrew says, hey, Paige, haven't watched the whole debate, but I know you're kicking butt. Keep making the cran and sandwich crews proud.
Let's go.
I try. Every time I make a sandwich, I think about the crew and how I can better benefit the crew, W crew, and 1SB.
Fair enough.
Is it the
Powder
cold?
Dusty? Oh, the cold.
Yeah, it's the Crucic cult. Yeah, no, it's not a cult.
I need an emoji that says it's not a cult. Dusty says open panel dumpster fire. Nobody cares about tomato sandwiches. We all care about tomatoes and sandwiches, sir.
Those in sandwiches.
Jess Gerald said if women stayed home to raise the kids, we wouldn't need the government babysitting system, but y'all wanted careers for some reason, working 60-hour weeks. So public school.
And we didn't even talk about daycare. I had stats on daycare too. We didn't even get to that, but whatever.
Well, even at that, women have actually always worked. Like they've always worked. It could be part-time, full-time, whatever time, or something like where they're in a supportive role for her husband if he has a business of his own, so on and so forth. But women have always worked, so I don't know if you can actually carry that over all the way to say, like, blame the working moms for public schooling. I think it was more the industrial
revolution.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Stephen Wells says it's payday today. Just wanted to show some appreciation to mommy moderator. Thank you so much. You should all be paying homage over to your mother here. You all would be running around amok like crazy children if it weren't. I'm a stay at stream mom. Dusty says, don't let these haters shame you for your long poop, pal. Half the people in the chat are probably on the toilet right now and pooping way slower. Yeah, I kind of want to know, like, how many people are watching shows from their phone from the porcelain throne. I want to know.
The turd and McFergusons of the world. Yeah.
I'll bet it's a lot of you. I'll bet it's a lot more than you're willing to admit. Jess Gerald says, box of wine or quad shot espresso, up to you, Sarah. I will go for the agua, and I'll probably be making coffee here later to kick us through because it has been a long couple nights.
Paige, it was so nice to have like a more respectful debate, though. Good job. That's a good job.
So much easier. I mean, the timer was helpful last night. I will admit that because I didn't have to I just put the foot down at the beginning and said, if you start talking when the buzzer's up, like I'm just going to start muting you as soon as the timer's done. And like they were both really good about it. So kudos to that. And it didn't get crazy till later in the show, of course, when I was the most tired, but whatever, we're here. Matthew says, I cannot handle this anymore. It's the road to hell is paved with good intentions. No one paves a path.
Wait, what is it called?
It's a road. Like
it's
you pave
the
a
road to
you can't
hell.
pave a path.
It's the road to hell, not the path to hell.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. Wait, can't you not? Okay. Oh, paves a path.
Can you pave a path? How do you pave a path?
If it's made of cement, yeah, my paths are
Near
all
a
fucking
path,
cement.
you might I don't know, like a level or maybe you put stones in a path, but you don't pave a path. Like
Paige, when you're ready for your lesbian awakening, hit me up, girl.
Oh no. Jesus Christ is my God, girl.
It's got the bikini. Oh my God, everyone is so.
I will not have a lesbian turn around.
I'm literally have been.
I think most people know.
I'm with Christians.
Yeah, I've always known that's not how I swing, and the religion just kind of fits in with that. So
don't feel any need to defend it. You're fine. Crystal Crusade, Sarah, Paige, Cal, and Poop. Q-Tard says Paige wins because she isn't punching her camera, and also because she's Paige. GG, everyone though. What's GG again?
Good game.
Good game. Okay.
Yeah. It's like a good job. Good job.
Acronyms. What's that word? Acronyms. Let's see. And Gesterald says you'd rather roll the dice on strangers with your kids than the parents.
Yeah, strangers that went to school to be like to pursue education for sure. For sure. Because parents, you just don't know.
Has nothing to do with the morality, as I've said multiple times. It is
who
just
knows?
they wanted to become an educator. Who knows what the reason? Also, they could be, like I said, they want to be in that environment with kids.
Are you Canadian, Paige?
Sorry?
Are you Canadian?
Yeah, unfortunately. Sorry.
Argument debunked. Wow. Thank you so much for pointing that out.
Canadian fallacy is not an actual debate.
Canadian fallacy?
The Canadian fallacy is not,
everything you say going forward is moot. All right, last one, and then we'll get our panel on here. Texas has thousands of reports of sexual misconduct of teachers. Did you just snort? Did she just snort?
Yeah, she's pooped and snorted on this stream, for the record.
Snorted and cried. Yeah. How many more emotions are we going to get from you?
How many more bodily emissions are we talking about, Keller?
Oh, my goodness. Texas has thousands of reports of sexual misconduct of teachers that haven't been investigated. If the state can't protect them at school, why would we ask them to monitor our homeschool?
Good point. PIC. Hey, Keller, are you muted, Kel? The stream?
Oh, sorry, Twitch. I'm like, but
yeah,
I was gonna apologize, but I'm about to say it again because I was muted.
Fair enough. All right, ladies, are you ready?
Retarded stream, I know.
The Sims in the chat. Her snorting is kind of cute. Not gonna lie. Ugh.
All right, let's prepare you to meet your panel. Ladies, it is a full house backstage already, and I'm pretty excited. We've got a lot of new people. Also, for the record, there are 2 uncammed. I know who you are, but cam ups always get on screen first, just so you know back there. I see you, I know you, but you will be in the back of the line for that one. All right, here we go. You ready, ladies?
Yep. I'm just going to use the Watchman and refill my water, so just bear with me.
All right, do your thing. Here we go.
GG.
Comes the lottery.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have some new panel friends this evening. Of course, I'm super excited for all of you to be here. Rules of engagement on my panels. Number one, you don't interrupt. Not me, especially if I start talking, you shut the fuck up. If somebody else is talking, do them the kind favor and shut your mouth while they're talking and wait until they're done. And then you can chime in. If it gets too crazy, I just tell the chat to do their job and they will pay to boot you to the back. They can pay to boot you and you have to get backstage, back in line all over again. That's how it works. You need to bring all of your rich friends here so they can buy you back up if you get booted to the back. That's how it works. Ryan's not here. We can't boot Ryan yet. They're already saying boot Ryan. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off.
Wow.
Thumping Weevil. Hello, my darling. And for the record, I'm going to go ahead and kick off the gauntlet.
Hello.
I'll give you guys about 5 minutes to kick on over to the gauntlet, and then we'll go from there. All right, go ahead, Thumping Weevil. Kick us off. Do you have a delay?
Hi. So I had. Do I have a delay?
Yeah, I didn't know if you. All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Hold on a second. I'm going to count backwards, and you're going to pick up where I leave off. 10, 9, 8, 7.
6.
Oh,
5,
that's a bad delay.
4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. This time I want
Is
you to do it
it-
right after I
Hold on.
after I say 7. I want you to say 6. We're going to try it again in case there's a misunderstanding. 10, 9, 8, 7.
Is there any
6,
way I
she has
can
a
try
delay.
join back on? Maybe I have to switch over to the gauntlet because I can.
Yeah, no, you don't have to switch over to the gauntlet. It's still the same length. Go
7.
jump out and then jump back in. We'll try it again.
Hold on.
Here, I'll remove for now, and then we'll save that spot. Okay, Ren Rogue, you're in the hot seat. Go ahead, kick us off, please.
All right, I'm just pretty interesting debate, a topic of interest for me. I'm like an OG homeschooled. So back in the day when there was a lot of regulation, at least in my state, and my mom carried a card around that like had the statute, so that when people asked why I wasn't in school when I was seen in town. So anyway, I just thought I have a lot of interesting, I have a lot of experience with it. So anyway, I thought I would join up, answer any questions anybody had for me about what it was like back in the day.
Did you want to throw anything like specifically out there to the panelists?
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to really, from my perspective, I think that I wanted to point out is that there is a lot of history with homeschooling. Like it's recent that it's become more of a mainstream topic, but it isn't a recent phenomenon, right? My mom was homeschooling me 30 years ago, and like I said, in that example, there was a lot of requirements, a lot of reporting, a lot of testing that went on, and then at some point they decided that was actually unnecessary. Like the regulations were relaxed. Like we've already been through a lot of this. This isn't new ground. So that was a point I wanted to put out there.
All right.
Not exactly sure what you're speaking to, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. Open it up.
No, I just don't. It just sounds like bullshit. The regulations for homeschooling have not really changed over time. So I'm trying to wonder, like, what specifically are you speaking to that changed, right? Like cards for verifying attendance or lack thereof is a common thing that we can date all the way back to the 70s. But I'm wondering what specific thing you're speaking to that like it was more regulated back when you were in school, which I'm presuming is the 70s to now.
No, it would have been the 90s.
Okay, so that makes your argument even worse, but let's get it.
Yeah, so specifically, my mom, did the paperwork for the homeschooling. She had to file a calendar at the beginning of each year. She had to report that she was going to homeschool me. I was required to take all of the standardized, what do they call them, achievement tests at the different grades. Like it was about every 2 years I had to take an achievement test. Like there was quite a bit of stuff that had to be done. And then at some point, I don't know what technically great. I would, somewhere in the middle of it. I know at that point, at least one of my siblings was also of schooling age, but at some point we stopped having to report that. They passed laws where you didn't have to, do all this, file a curriculum and a school calendar and do all of the standardized testing.
When you say file a curriculum, what does that mean?
I don't know how much curriculum was actually had to be filed. That one I'm gonna walk back a little bit. I know there was a calendar you had to file.
Sure.
Like I said, that was a long time ago. I wasn't the one doing it, but I do know that there was a point where the amount of paperwork and reporting was reduced to a simple amount.
So, Joe, are you denying that the topic of homeschooling has become a lot more popular in the last, 5 or so years?
It's about 60 degrees outside. Would it be recommended that I probably don't go out there naked? What are you asking?
So the question was,
Sherlock.
are you denying? Are you denying? Listen, I was very clear.
Yeah,
are you claiming that there has not been an increase in people talking about homeschooling?
I'm not. I don't know what it has to do with what I said earlier.
Because you told her, she said that she's been homeschooling and it's not been that much different. You're like, no, you're lying. That's bullshit.
No. I don't think you understood.
It's way more of a discussion in 2025 than it was in 1999.
So
you disagree with that?
I don't think.
Do you disagree with that? I just want to make sure I understand.
You're misunderstanding what I was trying to parse out. So let me just repeat that again. I was pushing back to the claim that the procedural processes of homeschooling, things like attendance, and in particular the monitoring of certain standards, like that could be tests, that could be, it varies from state to state. Those lapsed back because of homeschool advocates, where they basically argued in one way or another that the different processes and procedures that they had to submit were largely just inconsistent from one area to another. So they advocated, put an anecdotal perspective speaking to, was that these things rolled back over time. So she experienced that rollback of things like attendance.
Let me hold for just a second, because this.
Yeah, I just verified, Sarah. It is choppy on YouTube via a Google.
In general, I don't know if you guys have experienced that.
I don't use it usually.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is, maybe you guys just need the refresh. I know that happens sometimes. You just got to refresh. So we're going to go ahead and close out Tomato side and start moving over to Gauntlet. So let's do that. We're going to raid the Gauntlet. Maybe it'll fix.
And let me try doing it on Safari too. I'll just put myself on
Well, I don't
mute.
think it's us. It's because they're saying it's everyone.
Yeah, I don't. There's something going on with Google Chrome. Everything on my laptop, my computer, everything has been. I had to switch everything over last minute to Brave browser right before my stream.
It's a StreamYard issue. It's StreamYard, not Chrome.
Choppy on Safari as well. I just ran it.
Yeah, yesterday Fatty had issues when you had a number of people on panel.
What's that?
Yesterday, Fatty had the same issues. Once I think it was 5. Once he got more than 5 people on panel, it might be a StreamYard thing right now.
The StreamYard prioritizes the worst connection. So whoever has the worst connection in this call is throttling everybody else back. And since Sarah's streaming at the same time, then it's really going to be a fucking clusterfuck. So somebody's on Wi-Fi. That's okay. Nothing wrong with Wi-Fi, folks. But
all right, so we pushing through, or we don't?
Wi-Fi, but my Wi-Fi is literally right there.
Bear with me a second. Let me do this, because somebody sent me a thing of what we sound like.
Good tip from my chat. Said, don't attempt everybody else. Don't attempt to adjust your settings. Let Sarah do what she's doing and see if that fixes it before everybody's messing around.
I've got a wired connection, so your chat doesn't know what we're doing.
All right, let's do this. Everybody else mute but me. Everybody, I'm going to mute you, Joe. Is everybody muted? Okay, I believe everybody's muted. Chat, how does this sound with just me talking? Oh, wait, Ren, you're not muted. Hold on. We're going to mute you. Okay. All right, chat, I want you to refresh the stream on your end and then let me know how this sounds. Okay? It sounds good. Okay. All right. That's step 1. All right. We're going to introduce one person at a time and we're going to see what it does. Okay. Ren, I'm going to start with you up in the corner. Okay. Ren, go ahead and start talking. You can just say the ABCs. I don't care.
All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing. Can you hear me now?
So we got 2 of us. All right. Static again. All right, all right, I'm going to leave you muted for a second. Go ahead and talk again.
1, 2.
Is it good or bad? They're saying good. She's good. Okay, Ren's okay. All right, we're going to isolate the issues here. Alex, go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, Alex, start talking. Say your ABCs or something.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. How's everybody going? How's my audio?
Okay, audio's fine for you. Chat, how's this sounding to you? Is it okay? It's me? Is it me?
You're the source of the broadcast, right? So it will sound like you. But if we're getting if what he said is right about the slowest connections bogging down, you should reduce the video quality and have people cam off, like who have, I'm gonna guess, Ren and the guy in the truck.
Not bad anymore. Okay.
But yeah, cameras
hold on.
Like,
we're gonna Dusty sounds good too. Okay, so go ahead. You're fine. Joe, go ahead and unmute. Static pop when I unmute something, which that's okay. And I don't even have music on in the background. Joe, go ahead and say your ABCs to me, please.
Gotcha. This is me unmuted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Please bring pizza pronto.
I love pizza. How's this sound with Joe on? We're just doing isolations right now, making sure it's okay. Boot Ryan, see if that works. Good. Okay. Joe is a little crinkly. I think you just have really good pull on your gain. So it's like literally pulling. He's popping more.
I can adjust in real time. So.
Okay. Maybe turn your mic down some because you are coming a little hot. A little crackly. It's always popping a little no matter who talks. He's crinkly. It's better than before, but still crackling. This is weird. Maybe while we're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and leave and come back in real quick just to make sure. Maybe sometimes it's just me. All right. I'll be right back. Everybody just hang tight. Everybody shut up.
now what?
Or what? Shut up or what?
Everybody subscribe to
That's
the
right.
Indie
That's the right fucking question. What you doing?
Shout out to the lead attorney who calls this a struggle streaming. Glad it's not my channel. When this shit happens on my channel, I freak out.
Well, you're on a phone, right? Do you stream from your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone, but I'm plugged in to the router. So I'm
okay. Was it just me? Is it working still? Is it good? Minor cracking.
You sound way better than before. I can tolerate pops, so it's whatever to me, but it's a lot better.
It's weird that I would be as I'm on the right audio feed. Crack-a-backle. All right. Minor crack. All right. All right, mods. I need somebody fucking serious in chat and not the tard saying stupid shit.
Get him.
Sounds crackly. Joe crackles. Joe, maybe try turning your stuff down a whole lot more. Because, let me even see on my end. I can't see your mic settings because you're muted right now. Oh, well, Joe's muted right now, so
I just unmuted, so we can check it again if you want.
All right. Well, let me do reduce background and echo.
Mm-hmm.
Turn you down on my end. All right. Say your ABCs. My gain is the same as it always is. Like we've literally just did a whole panel.
Oh. 1, 2, 3. Please bring pizza pronto. How do I sound?
Now Sarah's the worst, but everyone else is popping a little too. I don't know. How did we just have everyone?
Sarah, why don't you go listen? Why don't you just listen to it on the YouTube end from your phone and decide if go on. If you ask people if there's problems, they'll say there's problems.
They're retarded. Yeah. Okay. Let me pull. That's a great idea, Flo. All right, and Gauntlet. Okay, I want you guys to go ahead and just pretend to have a conversation. I'm going to mute myself, obviously, since I'm going to be listening, and you guys can just talk about the weather.
Sarah just told me that the Indian Jesus was her favorite channel ever, and that if you're not subscribed to me, that she doesn't like you, and you'll never be allowed to be on her panel ever again.
Who's the Indian Jesus? Never heard of the
That's girls a cute dog.
Not only is that alive with my dog,
and Kelda's too.
I have a hot take. Dogs are stupid.
Whoa,
the only people who need shedding poop machines are ones who can't form human connections.
I like cats better, but I'm allergic.
That does apply to me.
You take that shit back immediately.
Yeah, in Texas, we just all have dogs.
Right.
And the only people who don't have dogs are the weirdos. So.
But what if we weirdos have?
Naz has a real dog.
Yeah, I do have a real dog. Who said that? You're right. He's big.
Look at that challenge. Look at that Panda Express.
I feel definitely called out on that one, Flo.
Anyone who super chats on my channel gets Morty a treat on camera.
Yeah.
Well, is anybody? Nobody in my chat is complaining right now. If we want to just kind of start and see if there's issues. So like
I
before,
pulled it up on the back end on mine. And
that's beautiful golden.
But what's wrong with eating dogs though? Like the Asians, I think they have it right.
Nothing.
Have you ever eaten a dog before?
Don't eat one that you love.
I would definitely eat dogs.
That's to Alaska. Just don't eat dogs that you love.
I would eat that dog actually.
You wouldn't eat this dog, I promise.
You're a monster.
You ain't big enough to come eat this dog.
Come here.
Not in one sitting.
Come here. We're showing off. We're showing off cute.
Well, there's some breeds that would be for food and some that would not.
I bet you he's the oldest. How old are your dogs?
My dog's 6.
Very riveting conversation.
He looks.
I would not
debate.
I would not eat
debate,
Indian Jesus' dog because he'd probably cook it on the
Likewise,
grill
Cal.
with his feet.
Great stuff.
Okay.
Yep, I got
glad
my
we got
dog.
to actually have like an actual combo now.
Hey, Indian Jesus, I did want to know, what was it like getting cooked by Rachel and Andrew in the same day?
It was super frustrating because they came in with these stupid prompts that were for leftists that had nothing to do with atheists. And it was like last week that I realized, oh my God, I should have gone in every single prompt. I should have been like, why do you think that simply knowing nothing else about me, that I'm an atheist, that I would disagree with you? Like there are no rights, but there's just force. It's like, yeah, I agree with that. I'm not a leftist. I'm an atheist.
I really enjoyed watching you cope over the one with Andrew on your stream.
I'm right. They were bad prompts for atheists.
No, instead of just
they were
saying
good
what
prompts
you
for
said on
leftists.
both is I don't disagree with either prompt. You should have just said that at the beginning.
So, but
like,
that's
I don't know how to debate you.
That's the setup. I'm gonna say the sky is blue. If you can't prove me wrong, I win. It's like, well, but I agree that the sky is blue.
Isn't blue. Well, technically, it's not blue. It's just the way we see it. Because
okay, so I'm going to argue that we all see the sky as blue. So if you can't prove me wrong in 5 minutes and you didn't have any time to know that I was going to say that, then you lose.
But did you guys talk about objective morality?
There's colorblind people who actually can't see blue. So not everyone even sees the sky as blue. Not only is it not blue, it's just the way light reflects.
So you're arguing that most people, when they look at the sky, do not see something that is...
You said everybody.
Did you guys talk about objective morality, though? Because that is relevant to your worldview.
Jesus, how do you know? Jesus, how do you know that I don't see...
I don't know, but I know that if you were to see the correct color that is based on rods and cones, the way that our eyes work, you would see some shade of blue.
You don't know that
gray.
from my
You're cutting out, dude.
You don't know if I grew up understanding that the color that I see in the sky is orange. You don't know if that's what I was taught.
Correct, but then you would still think that the color that I'm calling blue is, you'd be like, oh, I call that orange.
We may be seeing
the experience.
But see, that's the whole perspective thing without being able to root anything in factuality.
There's something called qualia.
You can't actually say that we all see the exact same shade and just call it different things.
Okay, but
you can go off of.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But what I'm saying is there's such a thing as the qualia of the color that the sky is. So if you call it blue and I call it orange and someone else calls it red, the experience of seeing what color the sky is, given that you're not colorblind, is the same for everyone.
I think Sarah said to mute. She thinks it might be you.
Kel, can you please go do dressing?
Wait, who mute?
How long? Yeah,
I think it might be two. He's lagging even in.
Okay, Indian Jesus. Somebody has to be right though when it comes down to the topic of like what color is the sky. Somebody has to be correct. Not everybody can be correct, honestly.
Right, but calling it a different thing. Right, I agree with you completely. But if I call that color blue and you call that color orange, we're not talking about different colors. We're just using different words. We both agree of the color of the sky.
That's not
no. What was the prompt though? And it was something about feminism.
This just came out of nowhere. So one of the prompts with Andrew Wilson was there's no rights don't exist. There's only force.
Yeah, that's not true though.
But I agree with that. No. I agree with that. There is no rights don't actually exist in a form. Now he took it a step further and was trying to be like, well, you can't touch them. Like, yeah, just because it's not tangible doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But again, I only have 5 minutes. But I do ability to do whatever it is that you want. There's no force to stop.
Where are you Jesus? I can't tell if it's an audio related issue or she's just tired of listening to you, but she wants you to mute. Indian Jesus. Sarah wants you to mute for a second. Sorry, I'm also a moderator over channel, so I apologize for.
Okay, but like if rights are only about force, then there's no basis for condemning things like the Holocaust. Essentially, like everybody believes that what happened during the Holocaust was wrong. So you can't tell me that might makes right. Essentially, that right come from force. Essentially,
I'll give you the argument that he would most likely give. Andrew gives as well. So without
what's the correlation with Holocaust?
Force, there are no rights. The only right you have from me taking your property is if a police officer, if you collect a group of individuals to stop me. Otherwise, you have no right to anything.
A right is really weird. Like rights are just exercises and externalizing freedom. They're not objects. So the only way for something to be a right is for everyone else to acknowledge that right. That's like Hegel 101.
Sorry, real quick, guys. My chat is saying that my shit goes when I get loud. Do you hear it if I'm not loud?
We're trying not to hear you. Sarah's trying not to hear you.
All right, mute it.
So what Joe said actually isn't true because you can have for instance, like the Constitution can just let me finish, sir. The Constitution can actually ingrain rights, right? But it doesn't mean anything if you can't enforce those rights. Like for instance, we have a military arm, we have a police arm to enforce the rights, right? Without that, it's just something in a book. Right? Like in a apocalyptic scenario that goes out the freaking window because everybody's Mad Max.
Like Hegel and Kant talked about this a lot and they agree with you.
Mad Maxing.
Rights, like I'll say it again, rights are exercises in externalizing freedom. In order for something to be a right, it's everybody else's ethical and moral duty to acknowledge that right. So a right only exists through acknowledgement, not force.
They're social constructs.
Because rights are not.
Says everybody mute.
Well, let me run something. Let me run something by you. Let's say all of us acknowledge that you have the right to not get your property stolen by me. However, I go and I still steal your property, but no one utilizes the force doctrine to stop me from stealing.
That's not the right, though.
Is it still your right?
That's not the right.
Where do you establish the right to steal my property, though? That's what I'd like to know.
How are you all so confused about such a simple concept?
It's not a simple concept because you simply can't say, oh well, might makes right. It's not that simple actually, because you can't just come onto my property and say, hey, this is my property now. No, it doesn't work that way.
So
I mean, if no one stops me, it's my property. I'm pretty big.
I have the right to eat your dog.
I'm a big dude. I can stop you.
Just
And I
guys, if you're not speaking, Sarah wants us to
Size
mute
doesn't
us,
matter, sir.
okay?
That doesn't mean anything. Okay, size does not fucking matter. I'm sorry.
All right, I got 2 black belts, 3 yellow belts, former Marine.
I love watching Karate Kids get knocked out.
Oh my fucking god, dude! Size does not matter.
GG.
How much clearer do I need to be about that?
I just took size away from it. Besides the fact I'm 220 and I'm 6.
Guys, Sarah wants us to mute if we're not speaking,
Okay.
so you can touch
I'm trying to listen on here, and like I feel like it's going off when one person is going. So I don't know which one it is, but I'm gonna play a little game. Joe, I'm gonna remove you because your mic seems hot. I'm gonna do this for right now for a second. Indian and Azrael, you were talking.
Turn off my cam too, see if that helps.
We're gonna I want you guys to just yip yap and chat and see if it's if that helped. And I'm gonna listen in on the tube. Okay.
Okay. Can we just full screen Cal and watch whatever the fuck she's doing?
She was like climbing out a window at one point.
I know. But then she put the screen back in. You should leave the screen out because you're gonna break it. Putting it in and out like that.
Oh, good pro tip. I've never smoked a cigarette inside. I felt like you guys now.
Oh, you haven't? Welcome. I never smoked. I've smoked since I was 14. I've never smoked indoors until I started streaming. And now, like,
this is a
forget
test.
it.
This is a
It's
test.
a necessity,
This is
isn't it?
test. How does it sound, Sarah? Is everything fine on your end? Do I sound okay?
So far, I think the crackle's actually gone. I haven't heard a single crackle yet. I'm gonna let it play out for a couple more, like 2 more minutes, and confirm that that's the case.
Okay.
Maybe because I turned my cam off too. Like maybe the cams and stuff are.
Cam's
I
pulled
turned
down.
my camera off too.
Yeah. Well, if we don't have it now, we don't need to continue reducing polls. You might try actually one of you camming back up and seeing if it returns.
How do you feel about the debate tonight, Sarah?
Testing.
I'll actually say that the debate actually went very well. I know I'm not Sarah, but the thing is, like, I only caught the last hour, but honestly, I felt it was very civil. I thought that y'all were keeping it very legit across the board. No ad hominem attacks, which I really do appreciate, because I feel like that's how some debates should go. You should always sling ad hominem debates is because if the other person is being completely fucking obtuse, honestly, that's my personal opinion. But honestly, I think y'all did a great job, honestly.
I know Paige was funny. She called herself one ad hominem before any of us had the chance to. She's like,
but y'all were very civil to one another, and I respect that 100%.
But we still had tears. What's with that?
I'm a rage crier. I literally I cry. I was talking to Gibbs earlier. I called during my long shit break. Okay, I called Gibbs. I'm like, Gibbs, what coach should I say?
Azrael, unmute. Azrael, unmute. I think it might be you.
Okay. Yeah, he's like, you're on your own. He's like, I'm not gonna help you cheat a debate. I was like, no, I was just asking you what approach you think I should take. He's like, you're on your own, and he hung up. I was like, oh.
That's what I would say too if I got caught taking a big shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, I just get it's definitely something I hope to outgrow very soon. I just I get frustrated, and that results in tears for me. I'm like, I feel like everyone knows at this point that that's kind of part of just an experience I go through, so no one takes it too it used to be everyone would preface me oh my god, calm down. I'm like, so I always try to let people know that I'm just a little bit of a rage crier before the debate, so I'm just move along because it doesn't undermine your argument, or we shouldn't stop and
maybe Paige was so cruel to you.
Have you ever tried?
I think it's you, Joe. It came in hard when you got on here. Hold on, just let me continue testing, but I think it might be you. Stay unmuted. That might help because I want to make sure. And I'm going to remove you and then see if it goes away again. But stay where you are.
But it left softly.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought that immediately, honestly. Holy shit. I was exactly thinking that song, honestly.
Killing Me Softly with these
Yes.
with this song or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, never mind.
Like,
Fucking gay. She's stream on Twitch. Oh, never mind. She's fucking gay. Twitch, bro. Problem with
Connor
Twitch.
Dusty, just so you know, it's illegal to eat dogs in America.
When has that ever stopped me from doing anything? Never.
And the Force Doctrine, if I'm not here, you're absolutely right, does not exist for my dog. He's a big softie. He can't.
I'm just saying, the more that you resist, the more you're making me actually want to try to eat your dog.
Oh my goodness.
I'm always around him now.
All right.
But if I wasn't around,
Sarah girl.
if I wasn't around, he is a little softie.
But are you always awake?
I am a very light sleeper. I got PTSD, man. You can drop a flat.
Golden Retrievers are very friendly dogs.
Yeah, he's way too friendly.
I know. I already know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Sarah girl looks like she's in my local militia. I was like, base? Base?
He's not a golden retriever though. He's a rescue. I got him from the shelter. He's just a mutt.
he's not a Golden Retriever. He looks golden.
He also looks a little German Shepherd, a little bit. I'll show you. He doesn't really look fully formed. He has like these little wisps on his thing. He has a different. You don't really look.
Yeah, definitely retriever. I see more golden retriever.
He's probably partly retriever. I think he is, but he's not fully retriever.
That's indicative of.
Go ahead and unmute Indian.
That will be a delicious dog.
Testing. I am Brown, and I am the best YouTube channel.
No,
on YouTube.
it ain't fucking so. Holy shit.
Wait,
we never.
Wait, actually, real quick. Let me try because somebody was saying that was when I was getting loud. So this is me talking normally. What about now?
I mean, I think that's just your voice. Sounds crackly.
Well, that is what. What do we got?
Okay, I think it's just the number of people. So we're gonna run this drill down. Flo, you said Fatty was running 5. We seem okay here.
So what Fatty ended up doing was opening a new StreamYard and then share screening over, right? So he moved all of us to a different StreamYard and let us talk there, but share screened it back to the original. And I think it worked for him, but it's a big pain in the ass. But
sounds like a pain in the ass.
StreamYard started charging us a whole bunch more and then started getting way shittier.
And then started failing. Yeah. I think we'll just leave it here. 7 seems okay. There was just very, very minimal little clippy sounds going on. So I think we'll stay right here. Okay. Now, don't forget backstage. Backstage, we've got Joe Lewis, Indian Jesus, KO Dave, Jeb Tan, and Corinth and Cure hanging backstage. So we'll just keep it at 7, and just know you can still boot and everything still plays the same. But hopefully it's at least manageable in terms of the sound. It's very. I do apologize to everyone. Sometimes we just have random tech issues and we have to deal with it. It's part of the game, part of the package, and my apologies to you. Hopefully you've still been mildly entertained, and we still kept to 100 of you here, so I'm not complaining. All right. Let's get back to the conversation. Don't forget you can boot people back and forth, and with this many, we got plenty of seats backstage hanging out waiting, and we will roll with it. Okay. So Ren, Alex, did you want to chime in and add some things?
Yeah, sure. I already talked about like how I felt the debate went from what I caught about it, but just kind of like break it down really quickly. I was actually an instructor for quite some time, and I can definitely tell you that classroom size definitely plays into it. It's easier to teach a classroom of 25 than it is to teach a classroom of 75. So obviously, if you teach a classroom of like 1 or 2 people, obviously you're gonna have more one-on-one interaction with certain students. But the thing is, when it comes down to being an instructor, you have to remember the most important people in the classroom is not the instructor, it's the student, because each student learns at a different level. So if you have, like, for example, in a classroom of 35, you at least need another teacher to help you kind of facilitate in case another student's kind of falling behind. So that's step number 1. Second off, the topic of standardized testing came in. standardized testing is shit because there's a bunch of dumbass questions about a pineapple racing a rabbit and like what's going to happen at the end of that race. It's the dumbest thing you can possibly think of. So honestly, they should get rid of standardized testing. And 3, public schools. This is the reason why. I get it. Public schools can be nightmares. I was bullied. This may not be no surprise to anybody, but the thing is, was that?
I just said not enough, but I was just kidding.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I don't really give a shit. But anyway, I just didn't hear you. So, but anyway, the thing is, like, allowing children to go into public schools teaches them a lot of great things. It gives them like diversity of experience. It helps them learn other things. Because the fact of the matter is like every teacher has a different learning style. This actually encourages them to see, hey, this teacher teaches this way. It actually helps them actually learn from different learning experiences, because once they actually go out into the real world, they're actually going to be hit smack dab into other people that have other methods of teaching them. Because when you go to school, you are learning something absolutely different. Because like if you come from like a conservative small town essentially and you're homeschooled, when you go off to college, you're exposed to a whole different level of experiences. Like, holy shit, I did not learn any of these things. But then, like, once you actually leave college, you find a job somewhere, you actually get paid to learn these different experiences. So it's better actually to have like these experiences. And listen, I'm not dogging on people that homeschool, because like there are some people that do a good job of homeschooling. There's some people that do a terrible job of homeschooling. There are people out there that teach homeschooling, say that the earth is 6,000 years old, which is not true.
Exactly.
So, but the fact of the matter is like going to public school, yes, it might be scary for some teachers, some parents to send their children off, but the fact of the matter is that's just a fact of life. The world is a scary place, but you can't hide your children forever from all the scary things that are out there.
Yeah, so
I agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
no, I was just going to ask about the standardized testing. Like, what's the statistics on that being crap?
It's okay. Consider the fact that like the majority of the people that actually own the standardized testing are not even part of the education system. They are corporations that actually run the standardized testing. They actually have to outsource people that are not even a part of the curriculum. Essentially, it's not a very good system, honestly, because it actually doesn't help students actually learn and progress in the real world. You do know that, right?
Yeah, so I mean, look, I'm from Canada, but from my understanding, like it is approved through the federal government, right? Like, am I wrong here? Like, that's what I saw.
It's approved for the federal government, but the thing is, they outsource this to multiple corporations that actually provide this standardized testing, and this standardized testing doesn't actually teach anybody anything. Like, there's actual testing out there that talks about a rabbit and a pineapple engage in a race. What's going to happen and what color do they turn? It's completely nonsensical.
But the point of the test isn't to teach.
Yes, it's to measure how well you can like reading comprehension and recitation ability.
But if it's nonsensical, if it's nonsensical, there's no point to it whatsoever. Like, how is that going to help people out in the real world? Honestly,
well,
so
Alex,
is it testing for pineapple knowledge? It's testing for math, right? Not pineapple knowledge.
It's not testing for math, though. That's the fact of the matter, though.
It wasn't a math question.
It wasn't a math question. It's something. It's just.
So what is this question from? Because I know we got STAR testing in Texas, which is going to give you basic fundamentals of reading, writing, arithmetic. We're going to have some kind of standardized measurement of testing, because we can't have open-ended measurements, because that would increase the amount of employees we'd have to review and objectively score the.
Well, consider the fact that standardized testing actually doesn't actually carry on into the college world. It doesn't really matter, actually. So there's no point to standardized testing, actually. As a matter of fact, there's no pragmatic reason to have it.
Government data collection.
So how do they meet the educational requirements then? Like, what's even the point of putting kids in school? Like, this kind of goes back to homeschooling. Like, if the standardized testing is useless and they also utilize testing in schools, what's the difference?
But you actually try to insinuate that, like, you know, children that are homeschooled do well with standardized testing. So what's your point?
Well, I'm asking you, what's your point? If it's absolutely pointless, then why does it result in better outcomes if that's what they use?
It doesn't result in better outcomes. That's the point, though. It does not result in better outcomes.
Standardized testing isn't intended to teach, though. So, you said that it doesn't teach them anything, right? It's just a measure. You can say it's a bad measure of whether or not we're succeeding at teaching students. Right. But I suppose then we'd have to know what we're actually trying to do. Regardless, I'm just not babbling around.
Yeah. But here's the thing: like, if you're gonna teach people about certain things, like say for example, when it comes down to arithmetic, right? Everybody knows that like 2 times 2 equals 4. But then you got Common Core math that actually teaches a different way to do that. That's perfectly an acceptable way to do it. It should not be the standard though, because it should just be an acceptable way to teach it. Now, this is not saying that like standardized testing, when it comes down to it, that like if you're gonna teach Common Core and you're gonna teach the original way to do things, and then you throw out standardized testing that has absolutely nothing to do with it, it doesn't really help anybody in the long run, honestly.
Well, standardized testing would encompass both Common Core.
Let me interrupt. Thumbing Wavell did pay her way to get herself back up here because she was having issues earlier. I asked her backstage who she wanted to boot. She said Ren. So Ren, go hang out backstage for a little bit. We'll bring up Thumbing Wavell now. Okay. And chat, let me know.
Back?
Yes, we'll try. Let's try to confirm the lag. 10, 9, 8, 7,
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, good.
I think we're good. Okay. All right. Back to you guys.
But it would encompass both of those testing, those mathematical methodologies. Just like how Asia doesn't solve math, how we do in America. It's a lot more efficient way. But a standardized test would test both, because it's not going to test the way you get to the answer. It's going to test the answer itself.
Yes.
So what's the solution here? Like, if it's not the standardized testing, then how do we accurately measure not whether or not somebody's ready to do things like go on to post-secondary or to get a career in their chosen field? How do we measure that somebody is ready for society?
More trade schools in high school, honestly. I say more trade schools.
I think there's an issue with the concept of standardized testing or standardized classes, right, with age, because if you've got a flat standard that everybody in this age group needs to pass on, you can't really get people to elevate that much past their capacity, but you can drag everyone else down and slow down the potentially high achievers to a large degree. So I don't like that approach at all. But I think the whole education system is trash, honestly. Like I don't
completely agree.
I don't think that anybody's benefited from sitting in class 8 hours a day during the most curious, energetic time of your life and catching a boredom lobotomy. So your parents.
Well, I think they're in there at this age because they always say kids are like sponges. We absorb the most when we're kids. We have no knowledge of anything else. Mm-hmm. So at that time in our point, we're in school because we're absorbing all the information. We're trying to get it all in. Plus, standardized testing isn't just know where you're going to go on. And it also helps the schools and the teachers to know if they're actually teaching what needs to be taught. Say that you take a school with 1,000 students and more than half of them fail at testing. Does that really rely on the students or the teachers at that point?
We know that the worst way to retain information is the way that we're teaching information now, which is through boredom, repetition, and memorizing trivial facts, right? So the claim that we have kids in school because they learn best, I can throw that out the window. We're not concerned with them learning the best or most efficiently. If we were, we would introduce more play-based learning.
Well, doesn't that contribute to classroom sizes, though, actually?
What? Oh, sure. You can pack more kids per teacher if you've got them all parked in a seat listening to one person talk.
Well, my point is like I've actually been an instructor, and I'm saying that you can actually reach more. You can reach 25 students better than you can reach 75 students. I know because I've done both actually.
Right, but it's not as efficient. Your teacher to student ratio is then off if you're in administration.
That's my point.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, though, the best methodology for learning, which anyone who's went to college basically knows, we teach ourselves once we get to college. We look it up online. We get taught in class, but we don't learn anything. I sat through classes to learn absolutely nothing. Went home, taught myself everything in the curriculum. And then wouldn't that just tribute to homeschooling? So if we look at the study I just put in, which to bring it back to homeschooling, it says that homeschooled children tend to do better on testing. In addition to that, we're not giving them a bunch of outside unnecessary risk as far as like pew-pews in school, as far as children getting touched by teachers, as far as our children not learning things that we don't want them to learn. And that's not to say within the basic curriculum. That's to say I don't want my kids to I'm going to homeschool my kids because I don't want them being sexualized or within the sexual culture that our kids are exposed to in school. It's disgusting.
What are you talking about, sir? I mean, seriously, what are you talking about? What sexualized culture are you talking about?
Kids knowing about things they shouldn't at the age of
You're gonna raise your kids to be hidden from the world, so that when they encounter it, they don't know what to do with it. That's
I was just thinking of that. Like to me, I look at the idea of public school or even private school, right? You can contain it to some degree, but to me, school is a great way to give them training wheels of how to deal with the issues of the world, and you're there to parent, guide, and provide protection. Still, I know there are some limitations on that if they're somewhere for 6 hours in a day, but you still teach them how to manage these situations that they're coming into and dealing with, even how to like mitigate problems or, interacting, engaging, yada, yada, yada. Not to say that bad things happening is good, right? I'm not agreeable to that, but it's still, if you aren't being taught how to like find your guidelines and figure out, navigate the world early on, with training wheels being your parents, then when you do become an adult, like you are just bouncing back and forth on everything. And I like
slut.
Well, like my cousin, I had a cousin who, her and I were a year apart, I think, and her parents were incredibly strict, bubble wrapped. She couldn't go to dances, couldn't talk to boys, couldn't do like anything at all. And my parents were really great about letting us fuck up, but to a degree, right? And we had to be held accountable for whatever we fucked up. But I mean, we weren't just rampant, running wild, free range kids, but we still, like, it was good training wheels. And, that cousin and I, polar opposites, my brothers and I, we all went to college. We did great things. We succeeded. The cousin who was bubble wrapped and trapped inside her own little home turned out to be a total druggie. She lost her children to her parents are now, the grandparents, right, are now taking care of her children because she's not allowed to have them. Like complete opposites, and so it can work both. Like you have to find your happy medium. And I think that's why I said earlier, like it comes down to like what the parents deem best for their children. And the great thing is you have that option to do so. But
how did you just go full circle from agreeing with me, then back around to the parents can choose whatever they want to do?
They can, but what I'm saying is you have that ability, right? But how you choose that is like you're gonna see the consequences happen. Yeah. But I don't believe in the bubble wrapping of children.
The thing is, like, I heard the argument talked about like how like a parent loves their children. Of course, I that's like the lowest expectation that a parent can have for their children, essentially. But love does not necessarily mean that you're qualified to be a teacher. There are some parents out there, I have no doubt, that like have the desire to learn, essentially. But the thing is, though, there are people that dedicate their entire lives that go to school to become teachers. And like, listen, I'm not expecting teachers to have the same level of love that a parent might have to their children, essentially. But I'm simply saying they have that desire, that drive to become that teacher. Because, like, here's the thing.
Because they want 3 months off a year.
They what?
Because they want 3 months off a year.
They don't get 3 months off, actually. Do you know what they actually do, like, in that 3 months?
They did when I was in school.
Okay,
I actually had a teacher tell me that's why he became a teacher.
That's anecdotal, so it's
not
actually
not relevant anymore.
It's really not relevant.
Okay, so it may not be relevant anymore, but anecdotes is what statistics or data is made up of. So
okay, sir, I'm sorry, but that's not necessarily
don't stir me, motherfucker.
I'll do what the fuck I want to. Thank you very much. Okay, I don't care whether you like it or not. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, like, huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, like teachers, when like during the 3 months off, they're actually trying to enhance their curriculum. They're still going through schooling, just like any other doctor does. Just because you're a doctor,
doctors don't take off time to do that, though.
Okay, thank you very much for making my fucking point, sir. Okay, thank you for interrupting me. Okay, like teachers actually continue to learn because like there's always different curriculum they can actually base.
Yeah, doctors don't learn.
You talking about CPD, Alex? Is that what you're getting at? Like,
oh my fucking god! Seriously,
did you just say doctors don't learn?
I didn't say
sarcastically,
that.
Yes, he's saying that. Teachers
No, I
take
wasn't
time
talking
off
to
to
you,
learn
Alex.
things, and I'm saying, as the son of a doctor and a surgeon, that they have to do that same shit, and they don't take time off to do it.
Yeah, they don't.
Every industry has
point.
continued
That was
education.
Alex's
Every
point.
industry.
It's built into my work. I do continuing professional development, about like 20 something hours a year, and yeah, it's absolutely not.
There's nothing unique about that.
Work.
Yeah.
So
I had to do when I was working in banking. I had to do it.
So I would like to ask one thing, like though, for those that do homeschooling, okay. So Paige, you do homeschooling. Do you think you could actually teach? Okay, so what's the class?
Assuming I do, yeah, because I don't have kids, but yeah.
Okay. So assuming you do, let's say if you have a class of like 2 children, do you think you could actually teach a class of like 35 children the same way you teach children of 2 children?
Absolutely not. That's the point for homeschooling, is that there's more individualized approaches.
Exactly. That's kind of actually my point, because like a teacher that teaches 35 students can teach children of 2 students. Meanwhile, a homeschool parent that teaches 2 children cannot teach children of 35 students.
But what you're
but they don't need to. Why do they?
I just want to counter that, and then you can speak, Indian Jesus. Alex, what you're basically equating as a quantity versus quality fallacy. You're not actually attributing a quality education to those 35 kids. All you're saying is like they can do it, Paige. So is that demonstrative of skill? I don't necessarily think so. Like for instance, like I could work another job in the evening. Does that mean I'm going to be doing that job very well on 1 hour of sleep, 2 hours of sleep? Probably not.
Not necessarily. But my point is
Not
like
necessarily. I'm going to do 1 hour of sleep a night, dude. Come on.
Okay, dude. I'm sorry. Nobody works consistently on 1 hour of sleep at night. Okay, let's be realistic here.
With Adderall, you do.
No, yeah, I guess with the Addy, yeah.
You actually can't, honestly.
I know you can. I was just being.
I mean, it's not well for a time, right? And then after a while, it would just like.
But anyway, like so, Sarah, I'll land my plane here shortly, then I'll drop off so you can bring somebody else up in here. So the fact of the matter is that like a teacher that usually teaches like 35 students, honestly, and teaches it very well, especially if they're like somebody that has been there for quite some time, actually has a better chance of teaching like 2 students. But then, like, if you have some of this homeschool that teaches 2 students, typically cannot do the same thing, essentially. Because if homeschooling was so successful, then everybody would.
We grant that, but that's a non-factor because nobody's suggesting that just random ass parents go teach school. Right? It's the suggestion is that they school their own kids, so they don't have to.
Do you think a homeschool parent is better than an actual teacher?
Yes, much of the time. Yes.
Why?
Why? Because the things that kids learn in school are not that complicated.
Like what?
Math, simple math, addition, subtraction, reading. What do you mean, like what? You don't think that the average adult could teach a kid basic arithmetic?
Okay. Do you think an average parent can teach calculus?
I'm not talking about calculus. No, I don't.
High school teachers can teach calculus, sir. That's my point.
I actually took calculus, but.
Well, she could teach calculus. I couldn't teach calculus, but I don't.
I can't teach calculus. Do you think I can teach calculus?
Right. So sure, there are some subjects that you're probably going to need either a really smart parent or an institution for. But I suppose when I was responding,
sounds like a great plan, sir.
Sounds like a what?
Public school sounds like a great idea. Then
I'm not saying get rid of public schools. What I would say
I didn't say that you said that.
Sir,
what are you talking about?
Some parents will need that for some reason or the other, right? But like.
What
it
I
doesn't
would
mean that it's a better outcome, generally speaking, right? Like
I would not advocate. I'm not advocating for kids schooling all the way through to the end themselves. I think at some point you do need the socialization. You do need to learn how to interact with institutions, and there are certain subjects, right, like calculus, that I don't think are necessarily important to learn at all. But if it is a requirement, then probably most parents are not equipped to teach it. But go ahead. Do you use? How many people on this panel use calculus in their day-to-day life?
I don't use it. No, I use algebra. That's what it is.
You use fractions? That's not calculus.
I know. I was just saying I use fractions.
I would say calculus is pretty important for modern.
Can't you get tutors and stuff for that?
Sure.
Yes, you can.
There's online teachers.
But then you actually have to plan on ensuring that there's a tutor that's actually available that can teach the course that they're not already booked for.
Oh my God, you have to take responsibility for your responsibility.
Getting your kid into a homeschooling program that they do have teachers on standby. They do have tutors. They do have institutes where you can actually bring your children that are homeschooled to interact with other children doing the same schooling type as you. There are resources
That's
more
not
today
always
with homeschooling
available.
than anything else.
It's not always available in certain areas. That's the point.
Well, if you don't have the resources, then you
That's
can't do the
bullshit.
thing. But
I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
It's not bullshit, actually. Okay, maybe you just don't understand, because like there are certain, like, for example, if you live in a rural part of the United States of America, and you're not always going to find a tutor that can teach your children calculus,
then maybe that's not the homeschooling parent, maybe, right?
Okay, do you think every child can learn online essentially?
No, okay.
Do you,
that's not
do you think
my
that every
point I'm
school is
talking
good? Do you think every kid learns at school? Do you think every teacher is good? Why are you doing these every questions as if it negates something? Of course not. There's no every.
I'm asking a question, sir. Maybe you're just getting a little hot on the collar.
Yeah, but you're asking a bad question.
It's not a bad question,
Maybe
sir.
if you've been homeschooled, you'd know how to ask good questions.
Sir, maybe
I mean, we
because
can
I'm
appeal to the smart one here, Paige, who was saying we should talk in generalities. Do you think generally students did better or worse when they moved to online schooling, Dusty?
What?
Do you think generally when they moved to online schooling during COVID, students did better or worse?
I don't know how students at large did. I know what we did with my daughter, which was homeschool her for that year, and I think that it was a great experience. And Katie, who did most of the work, by the way, she's got a high school degree, so it doesn't take a whole ton of. She was able to find the stuff online to help her do it. There's all sorts of information and resources out there for people who want to do it, and I think that what you find as a parent that goes into it, if you're the type of parent that's even gives enough fucks to consider doing it, you'll be able to find the resources that you need to help you do that thing. And there's a lot of, you can teach. She was able to spend 2-3 hours a day and cover everything that they'd take 8 hours a day at public school to do.
Yep. I'm still thinking we should listen to Paige here and talk about generalities, because that's where debates are when we're talking about broad policy. And when we're appealing to, online calculus tutors, we can look at the generality of students that went drastically down when they moved to online social distance learning. This doesn't seem to be successful for a large amount of children to the point where we make this a policy.
We have to understand
that's not what we're advocating.
There are three different kinds of learners. There are verbal learners, there are audio learners, and there's kinesthetic learners, which are people that learn by demonstration, essentially. So, like, you can't expect people that are kinesthetic learners to learn based upon like audio teaching, essentially. That's actually
what school is.
Yeah, that's when you go to school, basically, because you have that one-on-one interaction.
You're just still doing the same thing. You're watching and
listening.
It's
not the same thing, because like you can actually gain that interaction with the teacher. After.
Do you have the pineapple race the rabbit?
What?
Your example earlier.
That was standardized testing. That's not teaching, sir. Do you not understand the difference between the two?
You sirred me again.
I did, sir. Is that okay?
You're acting
ma'am,
like
ma'am.
sitting at a desk.
Is ma'am better? Is ma'am better?
You're acting like
dude in the red shirt in front of a brick wall. Is that okay?
Look, bitch, you're acting like if you're listening to
guy with the backwards
over the internet, it's different than listening to.
Is it okay?
In person,
sir? With the salt.
You get it now,
beard.
bitch.
So, sir, with the salt and peppered beard, is that okay? The guy that needs to shave after 5 o'clock, okay?
I haven't shaved in 2 days. What are you talking about? My shaving? I don't need to shave. I'm a YouTuber. I don't need to shave ever.
Maybe you should work on that. Maybe.
And I don't shower ever. So suck these sweaty nuts.
Oh goodness gracious! How dare you, sir? I feel so offended. Oh my goodness. Oh Jesus! I should just cower over here in the corner and cry. Seriously, is that how you insult, sir?
Let me ask you something.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
Are you related to Face Speaker?
Let me ask you something, Alex. If
you guys have the same
you're
energy.
homeschooling your children, say a parent is they went to schooling for it, say a teacher had children and they wanted to homeschool their kids. What makes you think that they can't visually and hands-on teach their children at home? Why can't children learn hands-on at school? It's not just about visibility. You do realize you can buy objects like for chemistry or science. You can buy things to be hands-on with your children at home to teach them.
But what if the parent is not able to teach that material?
Here, if a parent doesn't have the ability
stop.
No, exactly. He was about to. If a parent doesn't have the ability to do it, why are they going to homeschool in the first place?
Yeah, then they shouldn't do it. Not everybody has that capacity.
Yeah, not everybody does, but the people that do are able to do it and do it successfully.
But if they go to public school, those resources are already available, are they not?
Yeah, they are. But I'm talking about homeschooling. The people that are able to do it at home will and can do it.
There are lots of students who don't get what they need from public schools.
Yeah. Like my children, for example, they are in public school right now, but they are bullied. They don't want to go to school. They cry in the morning, every morning, because they don't want to go.
I get it.
You know what makes me feel bad? And honestly,
get it.
talking about that when Kel brought up the whole, they get free lunch. I've seen the free lunch. That crap.
Listen,
I wouldn't feed a pig that food.
I get it. I was bullied all throughout middle school. It was like the worst years of my life, honestly, and I get it. It's a horrible experience to go through. Bullying is something that is absolutely atrociously bad. But the fact of the matter is just like it's a building block of life. It's not valuable. I'm simply saying
it is. Bullying's pretty good.
You need to learn how to endure it and deal with it, right? Especially as guys, I think it's part of the social paradigm of men that they give each other shit in a way that maybe women's don't.
But there's other ways to build stoicism, right? Like a dad taking his son like hunting or
not the same thing though.
Enrolling him in sports. Well, is it not the same? Like we're trying to build
not the same thing. Your dad taking you to isolation to look for deer has nothing to do with you figuring out on your own how to manage the social paradigm around you.
But this assumes like this is the same trap that Cal ran into. Is like it assumes that homeschool children are isolated in a room and that they don't.
I was speaking to your example about deer hunting. Deer hunting doesn't teach you how to interact with your peers. Deer hunting.
I was talking about stoicism. So yeah, that doesn't relate to stoicism. You're correct.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where stoicism.
Rather, yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Where did stoicism even come up into this?
That's a good question.
Oh, just because like be a man, like it'll make them like.
That has nothing to do with stoicism.
I was talking about interacting with other social.
Yeah, you can also go to parks and meet people. You can also put them. You can put them in cheerleading. You can put them in football and karate and whatever you want to put them into. They don't have to go to public school to do that.
I was homeschooled in grade school, and my parents took the responsibility on themselves to make sure that I was socialized. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what homeschool parents have to do. I think that if you're Azrael is gone, but if you're a parent who's homeschooling for the sake of isolation. No. That's where the problems come in.
Yeah, exactly. But there are so many resources that you can bring your children out to the world and still interact and learn social ability.
Yeah, so I think again, like it's not like there's not opportunities. If a parent isn't like enrolling their kid in sports or giving them socialization opportunities, that's on the parent, right?
Yep, it is 100%.
Yes.
And yeah, there's bad actors. I conceded this multiple times throughout the debate, right? Like that's just a fact of life. We can't regulate every single.
Oh, wow! I didn't know I was muted. I was like, wow, everyone is being so rude. I'm like, I know I've talked over people tonight, but no, sorry.
I thought you were talking to your chat actually. So
no, I'm sorry. I was like, damn, no. But what I was saying is like, yeah, it may be that it's like some parents have but my main problem is that I agree with all of you on that. It's on the parents. But my main problem is that it's like if a teacher fails and doesn't have that same accountability where it's like, oh yeah, it is on the teacher to teach the kid, blah, blah, blah. There's like 15 levels of backup to make sure that the teacher is doing their job versus like with a teacher that's also your parent. It's like we're just kind of gambling and hoping exactly what you guys say. It is on the parent to like bring them into those socialization norms and stuff. But not every child, I think a child has a greater statistical probability of being granted those opportunities in public schooling versus private. That's like where I stand. Because yeah, I agree with you. Ideally, of course, like student or teachers who or parents who like homeschool kids would give them the opportunity to like participate in cheerleading and all that shit. Like, but not everyone gets that same opportunity. And my problem is that like every kid should be instilled with that opportunity.
And those parents themselves should not be homeschooling their children. My point is
exactly. But so we should have more regulation of who can. You know what I mean?
How? No, how?
Yeah, there's no real way to regulate that.
No, I think that the desire to homeschool is fairly self-filtering, right? Now, of course, except for the cases where there's like they're doing it for isolation purposes, right? And that I don't even consider that a school issue. I consider that like an abuse issue at that point.
Yeah. Right. It is. It's just like I just think it like has it's an environment where like predatory people could definitely take advantage of it. So I just want to like have a more
well, the kids are already with the parents, so
well, I just want to have like a more Yeah, exactly. But if you have like 8 hours away from your parents, like we're like basically doing like full-time work schedules when we're in high school and middle school and stuff. Like we're going like 40 hours a week to school, and you have mandated reporters there. Where I'm like, if you guys really think that like the teachers are like indoctrinating them into, which I'm not saying you guys, but like, you know, tons of people like
the whole
some
that whole
like,
paradigm is a very big double-edged sword. I don't think that I really am a big fan of the concept of school having more right to kids than parents do.
Yeah,
I understand that sometimes
like,
sometimes it's necessary, but that whole paradigm also can go real bad.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, but I just think there's more regulation instilled in public schooling, where it's like with public schooling, there's like 15 people to back it up, where it's like, okay, like Mrs. Geck might be like a crackhead that like wants to like, instill her, like to instill her personal values or whatever. Like if you think it's like an indoctrination.
No, a teacher, that's not what school's for. Teachers should not be teaching
indoctrination or accountability.
They shouldn't be teaching what?
I think that was Kel's point. The point is that you have the backup. So if they are doing that, you have other teachers who are going to be able to correct
exactly.
that. If you have them for like 1 year, you don't get that overtime. Yeah. And like if you have it for 1 year, but in the case of like a parent doing that, you have them for 18 years straight with they can have no other outside sources.
Yeah.
You don't have that mechanism to get them to have like some reasonable
yeah. I just think that if you have parents who want to abuse and isolate their students all throughout their childhood or their kids throughout their childhood, that's not going to fix the issue. Those kids are going to be in a bad situation regardless.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Indian Jesus.
Sarah, I'll go ahead and clear out so I can make space for everybody else. But thank you so much for bringing me on, and I hope everybody has a great evening. So
you too.
Take care.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. And then Dusty, this super chat, he wanted to boot you to bring himself up.
Indian Jesus?
Yeah.
Well, he booted that other guy.
And I do apologize. I had to step away for my daughter. Well, no, he picked
How'd we
you.
do?
He picked you, and then hold on, let me go back to my lineup.
It went okay, right? I think it went okay. It went better than expected.
Joe, and then there's the boot for Alex, but Alex left anyways. Sorry, I had to take care. My daughter had a medical issue that.
Sorry, Dusty. I didn't know there would be an open slot
this evening. Let's go.
Okay, so.
Well, I was just gonna.
Can I bring? I didn't hear any discussion of homeschooling pods. I think that I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but the woman who, where is it? I can't read it there. But you were arguing for public school. Cal. So you were talking about the legitimacy, the regulations, all that kind of stuff. What do you think about the idea of people who are licensed by the state then running homeschooling pods, where, like, let's say you are a teacher, maybe you currently work in a public school, and then you decide, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to start a new thing. I'm already that same teacher that has all those things. And if you are in this town and you want to be part of this, then you can come and, have a rented space or whatever it is. The idea of a homeschool pod, is there an issue with that you have?
And then before you answer, Cal, Paige wanted to make her exit as well. Paige, did you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, like barring any further questions, if somebody has a question, I'm more than happy to answer it. But yeah, otherwise, I'd just like to say, obviously, Sarah, thank you for moderating this. Kel, fantastic performance for the left. You truly are the shining star of the liberal feminist demographic in California. And great, interesting topic. I'm surprised it hasn't been debated before. And I just want to thank everybody who came out to support. Most notably, Crucible Crew, N1SB.
Oh, glug. Their dick is in her mouth. Oh.
Ew. That's degenerate. Okay.
Sorry.
And in terms of the haters that hated me in chat, I know you're here from Kel's stream. It's okay. I love the fact that I'm now past the Z to the point where I have 2 haters in chat. Thank you very much.
You think the haters are here from my chat?
I'm just joking. Take a joke, Kel. Come on. Just
For what? Don't make me crash out on you again.
It's hardly
not that serious.
That's been said tonight is that there might be some haters from your chat. So thank you, everybody. Does anybody have any questions for me before I go? I don't want to
I do. Paige, why are you such a badass bitch that everyone fucks with? Why are you such a cool, awesome bitch?
Look, it's part of the job. It's part of being Paige. But yeah, I've been told I'm too chill. I need to up my ante. So I'll work on that. Hopefully you guys
I think you did good tonight, Paige. You kicked my ass. You did a very, very good job.
Well, I had a chance to speak on I don't think 2v2s are my forte. So, but yeah, good stuff tonight, Kel. Thanks, Sarah, for hosting. Good luck to all the panelists. It seems like we do have a lively debate. I don't really think that I'm needed as much anymore. So.
I got you. I got you.
My job here is handled.
Thank you, Paige,
I'm
as
mostly hurt Paige
always.
gave away my title.
And have a wonderful evening.
You too, guys.
Just everybody drinking brown water.
Toodles.
Goodbye.
Can I take this one, Sarah?
And what? And you want the super chat?
I want to respond to it because this is just incorrect. Yeah.
Can I read it first?
Yeah.
Okay. And notable homeschooled people include Noam Chomsky, John Stuart Mill, Abraham Lincoln, and Michael Faraday. Each of their IQ dwarf this panel.
Noam Chomsky went to Philadelphia Central High School. He also went to day school throughout early education. Abraham Lincoln, Michael Faraday, and John Stuart Mill all existed prior to the public schooling system. John Stuart Mill was heavily indoctrinated by his parent, who was a follower of Jeremy Bentham, one of the leading economists of the time. This is just providing that, hey, this is going to be someone who's raised by an elite person who knows elite theory and all these things, and it's going to be taught for that reason. It's going to be very similar to Michael Faraday. I believe Abraham Lincoln went to what we would have as like the equivalent of public schooling, which is going to be like a communal schooling hosted at like one schoolhouse room things. Like this is just incorrect.
You could have just said, "Who cares?"
I mean, it's just incorrect. This is
so
all
homeschooling pods.
Who cares? Thanks for the money, asshole. Bet. Sounds good.
So, Kelly, how do you feel about Kel? I don't know the exact, but how do you feel about homeschooling pods, where we have a licensed teacher working privately for families?
Like I think that would be like the same idea as like decentralized farming, right? So I'm a vegetarian myself because I had a fucking nightmare about pork chops hitting the fucking ground and it reminded me of like an actual body. So like it's for very personal and selfish reasons that I don't eat meat. It's not because I think animals are, initially. And so now I have like more of an argument to back it up on. So that's the where it's like small industrialized farms, but of course we're better if everyone ideally went down to their local farm and ate like the fucking like best yeast that has been raised for like years. And it was like one cow that fed a community and we used every single part of it. Sure, ideally. In a perfect society, but that's not where we're at. So I feel the same way about that as I do with like honeypot, whatever the fuck schooling. It's like ideally, sure, a small.
Whoa! What are you talking about? Honeypot. I'm just talking about licensed teachers. So let's say that I'm a teacher. I went through.
That's the wrong word. That's the wrong word. You said pot. I didn't know the word. It was a wrong word.
POD. Okay, so let me lay it out for you then. So let's say that I went to school.
What it is, you asshole! You fucking dipshit! Oh my god, you're so demeaning. I use the wrong word, dipshit. I know what you're saying.
She understands.
Pot and pot are very different words. So I'm just trying to. I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm just trying to.
Oh my god, you dumbass! I didn't mean honeypot. I'm like, disregard honeypot. I know that fucking honeypot
She
means.
understands.
Thumping Weevil.
So I'm giving you.
Shut up. Thumping Weevil would like to make her exit, and I'm going to, before you do so, kindly remind the chat. I know things have just been kind of a little weird tonight with the static, and then I had to step away from my daughter for a few minutes. But don't forget, you have a fucking dono goal that you have to hit if you want to keep going. And quite frankly, I didn't get much of a nap today, and I didn't get a whole lot of sleep after last night's shit show. So incentivize me to stay.
You have dick nightmares between Wick and Andrew.
Oh my god.
What if I talk to my?
Go ahead, Thumping Weevil. Make your exit, darling.
I just want to say goodnight to everybody. It's getting late over here for me, so.
Nice to meet you.
Hope you guys have a great debate. Thank you. Bye.
Man,
We did.
I think we had a
better than
miscommunication. Wait, I think we had a miscommunication. I just established what it was that I was saying. So all I was saying is that you were talking about regulations and training and all that stuff. So let's just say, hypothetically, I went to school to be a teacher. I went through all the things, and I am a public school teacher. And then I decided I don't like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my job, and then I'm going to find individual families, maybe, 10 individual families, 2 kids each. That
I fucking understand what you're saying. You did.
hold
You're literally breaking.
And I'm going to teach those privately as I'm going to be the homeschool teacher, but I'm a teacher in the same respect as any other teacher. I'm just asking you, what is the issue with that?
Nothing. I said that I'd be totally in favor for that in the same way that I'd be in farm for like small industrialized farms. I think it's perfect in theory, but I don't think it's applicable in a reality.
Why not?
Because of the reason that I explained. Could you explain what my argument was earlier when you said that?
No, I
responded.
No, I don't. I can't. I don't know what you said.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I'm asking you now.
Yeah, maybe he'll help you out, you dipshit. You're actually so
Can you
smooth,
just?
Grace.
I'm not being combative. I don't know what you said. I'm just interested in what your opinion is on the idea of homeschooling.
Is it Keel or Kale?
Kel. Sorry.
Cal. Okay. So what I'm hearing that you're trying to say, and listen, when people hate women, sometimes their ears don't work. So I'm going to try to help you. It sounds like you are trying to say that there are examples in other fields, like your hippy dippy gardening bullshit, where it's separate from the main institution.
Okay, I'll explain it, Mike.
I'm just trying to understand.
You said, what's your opinion of pod homeschooling? I think that pod homeschooling, here is, if one fucking teacher for the society built up and teached a small community of youth, I think ideally.
So let's talk numbers then. Wait, let's talk numbers then. How many would be too many people for a pod school teacher to teach? How many would be too many students for a pod homeschool teacher to teach? Would 10 be too many? Would 10 be too many?
You would so be muted.
Would 10 be too many students for a pod homeschool teacher to teach? Is that too many people? Yes or no?
I don't think
engaging in conversation with me anymore.
Hell. I'm not trying to be combative.
The chat has exactly under 3 minutes to unfuck themselves with that dono goal. And I didn't even make this one a big one either. Lord says Chomsky went to high school at 12 and was writing analytical essays on fascism at 10. You absolute dolt. That from homeschooled education, you dolt. I don't have the money to unravel the rest. Fair enough.
From being homeschooled as well as his parents being, I believe, the principal of the local school, Jewish school district, school district. Like, this is just insane.
No one cares. Like,
I'm still not understanding what the issue is crazy.
I love Noam Chomsky. I will glaze Noam Chomsky infinitely.
Yeah, I understand. Listen, like, he sounds smart. He's gonna die in 10 years. I hope you guys enjoy
If he makes it to another 10 years, that'd be crazy. He's like 100 already.
Exactly.
Dusty old soul is what I want to say.
I don't think it's fair for you to have the right to finish and not me, right?
No, I want to hear you.
That's what she said.
True.
Like it's
Maybe
very,
not
very, 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 very simple stuff. I thought I was just illustrating my graph. I'm going to take off my headphones.
We just saw RTP, and that didn't work out very well for him.
Casual comes with a 10.
Why is a licensed teacher?
I think that
Casual Crypt comes in and says,
pod. Same way. I'm sorry, you didn't understand my analogy. I'll break it down for you.
Hold on. Am I not talking? I'm a fucking crash out on my own goddamn panel. I've got like 10 million and one things going on right now. And the one thing I don't want is if I'm reading a fucking super chat, shut up. That's easy. Casual Crypt comes in with a big 10 and says, "Mapod, thank you." And chat is about to fucking fail. You've got 50 seconds to get 3 more super chats. And I'm kind of okay with just shutting down and going to bed.
Why is a licensed teacher holding a homeschooling pod a bad thing, Kel? Please explain that to me. Why is that bad?
She doesn't think it's bad. That's the problem. I think your issue is the scaling it, if I had to make an assumption.
Okay, great. So talk to me about that then.
Me or her?
Either one of you. What? Because my thing is that I think if we have a 30 student, 30 family pods all over the county, and then so far over the country, I think that is ideal. Why is that not ideal?
What do you mean by ideal? Ideal for
better than what we have now. The public school is failing our children. Adults cannot read it beyond a 3rd grade or maybe an 8th grade level. Dude on the bottom, you're muted. But
I'm not talking. I was trying to.
Well,
get the
there you go.
chat.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand, because the issue before with Kel was that the homeschool, we were talking about parents and whether parents are good and parents can do this, and so now I'm bringing up the notion of licensed teachers doing this. And so if you're a bad parent, you're still not teaching your child. You're driving your child either to a trailer that they have, or once a month you hold it at your house, or whatever the case may be. But you have a licensed teacher teaching and giving an education to your child. And I'm just still not understanding why that is a bad thing. And if that is not a bad thing, then why is the conversation not, oh, we should be doing that?
All right, let's we're sorry. The chat horribly failed. Now, the chat, somebody can be the miracle worker with a big C note. All right, we like the big red chat. You could do that, and I'll keep going. But you failed, right? So when you fail, you have to pay double to pick it back up. But quite frankly, I kind of don't give a fuck. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let everyone on screen, everyone that's on screen now, you're gonna give your closing statements, and then I'll put everyone backstage, and then bring the rest of the group up, and then you guys can give your closing statements, and I'm just gonna go to bed. Now, the only thing that can save you right now, chat, is one big $100 bill, flat out. It's a $100 ransom if you fail. I'm gonna read these couple. And then we'll move into closing statements.
You know what I mean?
And you have exactly, 60 seconds to unfuck this shit. All right. Pinchy Lobster, I like that, says, thanks, Sarah and Paige. This is a surreal Bosch painting, highly concerning. Kel is atrocious. And by the way, chat, let me just let you know who's all backstage, because some new faces popped up, so you might be incentivized. Azrael's back there, Powder Dusty, Jeb Tan, Colby, Ren Rogue, Rob Noir, Justin Gibbs, and of course, Dr.
Rob is here.
Rob is here.
Oh.
But you're not gonna see him. You're not gonna see him if you don't fix this. You fucked it up. No, the chat. All you had to do was one more fucking dono. You had 45 minutes to do it too.
This wasn't on
like a total bitch.
Oh, this wasn't on us. Okay, cool. I thought that was on us. Chat, I want to talk to Rob.
It's our fault for not being entertaining enough to make them hate us to donate to kick us.
I thought I had great questions.
Jess Gerald trying to save the day with the 10, but it only brought you guys up to one. You got a 9 out of 10.
We need like 90. Yeah.
Right. So
we got 90 left, boys. Come on.
Is passing, but it is not going to keep the stream rolling. So again, $100 or nothing. You pick. I'll give you. Here's what we'll do.
That's that homeschooling grading.
It's Ryan's fault, even though he's not. There it is.
Let's go.
There it is. There it is.
But Sarah Low-Key,
you're like, Sarah Low-Key, mad last night with Andrew Wilson and Wick. They said the moderator made you mad.
Why?
I need to learn how to grift like this.
Casual
holy shit! Somebody
YT family, I've never seen you in chat before. Look, we got a double love. YTC12345, who I've never seen in chat before, comes over with a big hundo to save your dumb asses. And then, of course, Casual Crip calling it. Let's get Rob up there. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Casual Crip, tell me, who do you want to boot? Tag me in the chat so I can see it. And for the record, everybody backstage, just so you know, we had some weird static shit going on, and we figured out if we only have 7, the static stays away. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. You're a rock star for the support. Stick around and come back to the next stream, please.
Get rid of somebody who's not cammed up.
I need Casual Crypt to just tell me who they want
to $30 deep. I'm just trying to make one.
Sorry. Hold on. We're going to focus here. Casual Crypt, you got to let me know who you want to boot. You want Rob up. I can get Rob up, but I need to know who you want down. You can boot me too. I'll gladly step away for 20 minutes.
You can even boot the debater.
All right. They pick Cure to the back, Rob to the front. Okay. All right.
I'm so excited for this. I haven't seen Rob in like 2.5 years.
Rob, I
man.
didn't mean to
hope you're
bitch at
well.
you.
It's all right. No, I know. A lot of you haven't seen me. I'm successful, not so much you guys, so I understand. No, I'm just kidding, Joe. It's nice to hear from you, man.
Listen, yeah, man. Listen, PA's a shithole, so I understand. Y'all are going through some shit right now.
There, Rob.
Now, wait a minute. PA's a shithole. Aren't you from Jersey?
Listen, go Birds.
You can't even pump your own fucking gas.
I mean, true.
And Jay,
Not
like,
wrong.
what? I've never pumped gas in my life. Well, you
You know
guys
the
step
craziest
outside
part?
in the winter? Oh my
Rob, you know the
God.
craziest part about that? The bill has bipartisan support, and it still can't like get.
It's nuts. I like me some full service here and there, but I like to have the option. Anyways, the audience, I mean, come on. It sounds like they were wimping out tonight. Let's get some donos and they want to see some fireworks. So Joe, I know you are in the teaching field, right? Will you admit that public schools are shit? Will you at least admit that?
Yeah, listen, I'm on a little bit of a side quest here because I was going to go after the feminists here. So, but not to go too hard on the teachers, I deeply am sympathetic towards the education system. I think you and I talked about that. But my whole thing is that it can't be the only option. That's like the one thing that COVID's demonstrated, that like public school can be an option for some, but if that's the only option, then it's not really like a free decision. Like you can't freely go into homeschooling. You're just kind of like funneled back into the public school system so to engage with it, you know?
Okay, so that's fair. And I actually don't disagree with this. There probably should be some sort of option for people that can't afford to homeschool. Whether
Look at my nipples.
What's that?
Look at my nipples.
No.
Let's stay on. I'm gonna boot you just for doing nipple commentary.
No, come on. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's one of those streams. Anyways, but whether those options should be public school or private school that's not homeschooling, it seems to me that the thrust of the topic is the question of whether or not, I mean, it says blatantly, homeschooling doesn't result in better outcomes for children. I just think that's blatantly untrue for two reasons. First is public schools are very poor, and they seem to be getting worse and worse, even though we're funneling more money. And the second is the data seems to suggest that homeschooling, at least as it's applied now, leads to better scholastic outcomes. And I would argue, it'll be more difficult to argue, but I think I could do it, better cultural outcomes than public school. And I think that you, Joe, may make the argument, yes, but that wouldn't be true for everyone. For example, if I have a child, but I'm illiterate and my wife passes away, right? Would my child, as someone who would be illiterate and can't teach, be better off with me teaching them than a private school or a public school? Probably not. However, the people we see that are choosing homeschooling right now, the evidence is pretty good that homeschooling leads to better outcomes than at least public schooling.
Gotcha. My thing, I might not be the right enemy here, because we're gonna probably agree.
Well, who was?
Like,
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. Who was the original streamer that had the affirmative?
That's the person to my right.
Cal.
Yeah.
Cal, who's disappeared on us.
Was Kel on the negative or the affirmative?
She's on the affirmative that it does not result in better outcomes.
Oh, then let's shit on her. That sounds great.
Dude, that's what I'm trying to do, bro. Damn.
Okay,
I have a totally different angle.
Let's do
I have
it.
a totally different angle. But yeah, like to what you're saying, because you addressed me, right? My concern is like, honestly, like, what are we trying to do? Because on one hand, are we trying to produce better, not to get to too like communist in this, right? Like, are we trying to produce better workers and laborers? Are we trying to produce better civic citizens? Are we trying to produce just people who can engage in the outside world, so external from their home unit? And it seems like every single one of these things is trying to answer that in their own way. So like, I think in the homeschool argument, in some capacity, I think they're just trying to produce better people. Like, not necessarily people better for the workforce, but just better people overall.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably closer to the truth, where I think if we need to produce individuals who are able to engage in the institutions that they end up in. And sure, work might be one of those avenues, but that can't be the only avenue of production.
Right. And that's also a deviation from the very industrial version of what the public school was supposed to be originally. And like, Okay, fine. I understand that in the Industrial Revolution, we like it was worth it to make people better at working in factories. But in 2025, that's not what we need. And if we're incentivizing people to just go to college and get a gender studies degree, then that's not helping anybody.
No, gender. Like, hold on. Let's not get too crazy, man. Like, gender. Like, those degrees are fine. Like, would it be liberal? Any of those like liberal arts degrees, art, gender studies, Africana studies. But the problem is,
I'm not saying that there's necessarily inherently an issue with those degrees, but the idea that getting that degree is going to push you further in society monetarily, I think, is an issue.
No, the issue is that they're like, okay, I'm not to get too, god damn it. It's the issue is liberalism. It's liberalism. Period.
He's gone.
Every time
he's gone.
Anything. Sorry, go
he's
for
gone,
it.
so he's gone, so it doesn't matter because the problem with that is that's not. I don't know that anyone's advocating homeschool for higher ed, right? Is that even an option? That like, hey, I'm going to get
just the higher ed?
Right. That's just the problem with the college system, and largely is it's just like an accreditation firm. Like you're just there to get that piece of paper because you think that gives you some sort of status effect. No one needs that at that point in home. In fact,
when a lot of kids come out like not having a job after college with those credentials, I think you're 100% right. But
yeah.
Well, the truth, because there's a truth in that. Like liberalism.
No, finish. Sorry, I cut him off. I
want Rob to go too.
That's fine.
Oh
no,
yeah,
Joe,
sorry.
I'm fine. That's basically what I had to say.
Yeah. Like my issue is liberalism. Like everything that thing touches is like this omnivore that has like complete disregard to content, complete disregard to individual. Like I don't mean individualism, but just the idea like of dealing with the contradictions of the institution it touches. Like I'll give you an example, right? Like if you're going into school for like gender studies, so like to go into higher ed as the example, and we'll work our way down. Like you gotta just tell like people the truth that you're gonna be broke. Like unless you're doing something else, you're gonna be broke. Like gender studies does not engage with the world that liberalism touches. So then like when
how
you
many
get
people do you know that come out with business degrees that don't know what to do with them because they fucking followed some alpha bro?
I mean, that's also the problem because liberalism does not care about the content. It says, hey, you have the ability and the choice. Yeah, like the content is business.
Tell me a lot about liberals, but
what does
they definitely produce content.
What does liberalism have to do with what area of study you go into?
Because that's the rationality that we live under. We live under this rationality that we like. In this case, liberalism, and to put it a bit more broadly,
made liberals, not the other way around.
All right, like
so the rationality is neoliberalism, and that is just market logic engaged in all areas of activity. So when I say liberalism does no regard to content, what I'm saying is liberalism will say you can invest in yourself and choose how you invest in yourself, but you still have to rely to the market. If there isn't a market in gender studies, then you guessed wrong. And a lot of times for a lot of these degrees, basically liberalism doesn't care about the content. So you can get your business degree. What's that?
Retarded. You think that's lefty exclusive? That's retarded as fuck. How many people do you think went in with a business degree?
He's not saying lefty.
He's not talking about lefty. He's talking big L liberalism.
We're talking about
big L liberalism.
Useless areas of study. Let's talk about useless areas of study.
He's not talking about the political spectrum.
Word comes in with a big 10 over on the Rumble side. I might have missed this. This might have been earlier. Werb says, you call it training and schooling to become a teacher. I call it indoctrination, how to brainwash children. Ooh.
Well, just to be clear, this conversation is different than homeschooling, right? It's sort of, but I don't care. It's y'all's panel. You can talk about what you want, but I have significant problems with the way that higher ed works and with choices that people make in degrees. But to piggyback, to try to bring it back on topic of what Joe was saying, I think that certainly, to me, schools should be about creating better human beings and people. You're right. There's a bunch of ways that we could look at it. Creating more moral human beings, whatever our moral criteria would be. Creating, for me, an important thing is I want education to be instilling the values that I, as a parent, want values shared. So,
then
for example, if I'm a
parent
Christian,
do that.
Yeah, but I should.
Job.
Yeah.
But wait. But if the idea is better outcome and I'm the one who's deciding what's better, then clearly homeschooling would probably have a better chance of instilling those values than a public education. Do you disagree with that?
No,
I'm not going to catch it. I saw. I
probably
heard
don't
something.
solely want values instilled into your children. You probably also want a set of information.
That's absolutely true. So that's the point I was getting to. So I agree with Joe. We would have, you're right, that there's a tier system of a bunch of things that we would want school to do for our children, making them better people, more moral people, making them more civically minded. Certainly, you want them to teach them skills that will make them proficient, effective, productive members of society. For example, for me, it's very important for schools to teach math, reading, like shit like that's important. But I think when Joe says it creates better,
on at homeschooling.
I think when Joe says it makes better people, I would agree with him both culturally, civically, but I also think you could say academically.
Yes.
So I'll admit that I was not prepared for this debate, so I just did like 2 minutes of research before I came in. But it confirms my suspicion, the research I've done, that kids that get homeschooled tend to test median better than ones that don't. Now, the conversation's going to have to be, if that data is accurate, is that correlation or causation? And there's an interesting conversation to have there. But I think that that's still going to win for my side of the argument, saying that homeschooling's better. Because even if you say, well, the reason is because the parents that choose to do that have better resources and are more educated themselves, fine. But still, the question of, does homeschooling lead to better outcomes? Yes, because the people that are doing it are self-segregate, are sort of happen to be in a higher echelon that are more capable of doing it. Therefore, homeschooling is better for those that are capable to do it. That's my argument. Do you disagree that the academic numbers seem to suggest that literally when it comes to math proficiency, English proficiency, etc., homeschooling tends to be a better option for the people who do it?
If those numbers,
Rob's correct.
If those numbers are correct, then I think there's also a chance that doesn't mean that homeschooling is better overall. It could mean that like the United States just is not running its public education as well as it should be.
But I think that's implied in the prompt, right? That we're talking about the U.S. educating system and whether or not homeschooling's better. Now, if you want to make an argument that, well, that's not true in Japan, that may be the case, but I don't know. But certainly, I think, I mean, I guess I'd leave it up to Sarah and Kel, who was one of the two debaters, what the prompt was suggesting. But to me, the implication is it was suggesting in the United States. And in that case, I think that it's undoubtable that the negative wins this argument, that homeschooling actually leads to better results when it comes to moral values that I would want, civic lessons to engage as good people, and productivity in teaching academic lessons. I think in all three aspects, homeschooling wins. In the way that it's applied right now.
In the moment, I wouldn't want to see Americans just wholesale give up on the public school system in favor of homeschooling. I would want to see the public school system get fixed so that
that's a good thought. I really like that thought. Pardon me for just a moment. Like, we could sit here and say, well, homeschooling's better. I think that could be agreeable with, numbers, statistics, and outcomes and so on and so forth. But like, rather than like worrying about like knee-jerk reaction and shoveling everybody back home in that aspect, like, work on what we do have and why do our school systems fail children? Why is homeschooling better? And so that's a really good thought, Kay.
Or even Sarah, to that, like, why is homeschooling an emerging response to the problem? Like something I think very deeply about if and when I have children. And I think Rob and I we're probably like, listen, we could probably be partners. And I'm a reformed individual, if you can tell by the way I'm engaging with you. So I apologize.
I always like talking to you anyways, Joe. So.
Yeah. So I appreciate
it's fun to bitch and yell at each other, though. That's more fun.
Yeah. We can talk about that another day. Like, the thing I'm trying to say here is that, like, we have like specialties, right? Like, my specialty is music. Yours, in some capacity, I would argue, is like debate and argumentation. I think for you what's that?
Muffin eating? Is that what you're eating? Looks like you're doing all right with that.
I don't know who you are. But that's okay. We'll figure that out. So, like, if you were to say, like, if your child's like, I want to get into debate, I think it's reasonable for you to say as a father to go like, well, let me give you like at least the very least, the starting tools. Like, they might not necessarily have to get that from their high school debate class, for instance, or you can use that as a clarification. Like, same thing for me with education. Like, there's nothing that from like elementary even up to high school unless the teacher specializes in my instruments, that they're going to get a value. I'm just going to teach them privately. I'm already teaching my sister's kids privately. And I know they're going to be better than a vast majority of those other kids who play that instrument, especially if they're just in the school system. But at the same time, I recognize you still got to do band class. You're going to be in band and all these other activities in school, because there's another aspect of that. I think you'd probably also agree where it's like, look, I can teach you debate. I can teach you these things, but there's still debate class in public school. You got to go to that. Like, it might suck, but
well, actually, like, I think you bring up something interesting there with the debate class, right? And this is one of the. I was going to make 2 points that I wanted to make actually against the homeschooling, right? And this is a big one. You bring up debate class, and that's an academic thing where we go and challenge. The biggest people that push this participation trophy mentality across the United States are the homeschoolers. There's a reason that college athletes perform better in job hunts and having jobs than any other group, bar none, when it comes out. 69% compared to 59%. That's a 10% overall increase, and they maintain those jobs for over a year comparatively to homeschoolers where they don't. Now, here's the deal with this, right? This is key. That teaches competitive nature and teaches leadership skills. These are applicable skills that go across all these things. Now, here's a problem, Rob, that you kind of put forth. You brought out the morality. That's a good idea, these morals. Here's a big problem with this. What happens when you have a group of people that have different morals than you and start homeschooling? Are you ready for Sharia law schools? Is that what you want? Are you excited for this? You want Muslim homeschooling to take over America? We already see them doing this with their stuff up north and in Michigan. Is that what you're for now? The only way we can stop this is by protecting our children in our schools. We have to take it back from the left because the libs don't play fair.
Okay, so 2 things. Let's answer your questions in the reverse order, right? The idea of, am I okay with a Muslim instilling Muslim values in their children? Yes. If your argument is no, does that mean that you think even if they're sending their children to public school that they shouldn't be allowed to instill Muslim values outside of the school system?
They shouldn't be allowed to teach a Muslim curriculum like some of these schools.
Why not?
That's absolutely horrendous.
Why not?
It's antithetical to American value systems. I didn't
answer
know that
my
we kill
question,
people.
which wasn't the question.
But you didn't answer my question.
I didn't. You didn't ask the question.
While you're doing that, I'm going to answer the super chat. Previous to modern education, kids were taught, homeschooled, or otherwise. The trivium. Modern education is a joke. It's embarrassing to defend it. Followed up by Thumping Weevil. How can you tell when only 3.2 million are homeschooled and 49.6 million in public?
It's still large. That's a large data set
it's
to
still
look at.
Good.
So we'd look at like more percentage per capita, etc. But to answer Gibbs's 2 points here. So the point that I was making, the question I was asking you is, you seem to have a problem with Islam. Fine. Okay. We might have a lot of agreements on that. My question is, outside, you seem to imply that a Muslim person should not even have the right to homeschool their kid. That's your argument?
I would argue that if they're teaching a Muslim curriculum, that's a problem.
That is the exact same
What
rationale.
is Muslim curriculum?
There are schools up in Michigan specifically. There's homeschooling networks where they teach, quote, and this is from their websites, a Muslim curriculum focusing on Islamic interpretation of law, Islamic ideas of creationism, Islamic ideas, all sorts of things. And by you sitting here going, oh, this is good, this is antithetical to America. We believe in freedom. These people believe in not freedom. That's
let me finish real quick.
Sure,
the person
absolutely.
being antithetical to freedom is you. You're basically making
I'm talking about
the argument. Let me finish.
From
I understand. You're a moderator. Don't you know how to listen to someone finish a point before you interject? Okay, right. You're the one that's being antithetical. You're giving the exact same rationale that says that parents themselves shouldn't have the right to teach their kids.
I'm not.
Instead, the state should be the parents of it. Is you're giving the position.
Separation of church and
Please,
state.
Gibbs, come on, dude. Come on, it's not that hard. Like I sat here patiently while you made your point twice, and you're okay. So that's what you're doing. You're saying that parents, it should be we as the state say, nope, you don't have the right to instill this values or this education into your child if we think that you're in a religion we don't like. That same rationale is what's used today to stop parents from learning about shit in their public schools of their children because they say, no, the government should be the teachers of your children, not the individual parents. So I completely reject your argument and say it's anti-liberty.
Have you ever been to a snake
Secularism.
handler church, Rob?
Yes, I actually grew up Pentecostal.
Oh, good. So then you know. So you are a pro of this, right? You should be very experienced with this. I don't want not just the Muslims. I don't want the Pentecostals having poisonous snakes in school, teaching these kids, hey, we should be able to hold snakes. And that is something some of these schools have taught that I know in my region. So, like, you're telling me these homeschool things where they're giving kids literal rattlesnakes to hold that haven't been to venom.
Listen.
This is actually what happens down here. You're telling me, and I've seen it personally, you're saying that's okay. This is what we want. I want not what you said. I want a secular school that's separate from church and state where all religions are treated equally. I don't want any of these.
That's outrageous. That's
it's a
real quick.
It's American.
Please.
That's what we've had since the Constitution.
Real quick, 2 things. I'll make it within 20 seconds. No, having snakes in schools would violate safety laws that has nothing to do with curriculum. Secondly, right, you say that you want total secular schools. That would imply that as a Catholic, I should not be allowed to teach my kid Catholic values.
No,
which
not
is
as
fucking
a
a
school.
huge
Not as
violation.
a school should be doing that. Why should a school be doing that?
My kid goes to Catholic school. You're saying that shouldn't be allowed. My kid now.
I'm saying we shouldn't have any kind of religious schools doing this kind of thing.
So
That's
I
bad.
just want to be clear. My child.
But the Catholic schools don't seem to be doing that.
Take a break. My child goes to Catholic school. You're saying you want complete secular schools. Are you saying
I want
that
a
I
separation of
legally?
church and state.
Let me finish. Are you saying that legally I should not have the right to send my child to a private Catholic school?
No, I'm saying you shouldn't have your right to send to a private homeschooled Catholic organization. That's the problem.
Wait, so I could send them to a private Catholic school that teaches the same exact thing that I would do as a home. How do you know what my homeschool curriculum would be?
I know the difference between what a private school, which is mandated by the state, and they have to do certain things. They have people that are regulated that come and check on it, versus the homeschoolers that they don't do anything, and you can just reset something up. It's much harder when you have a school of thousands of people than it is of a school with 40 people to fake some bullshit for a government monitoring agency. This is basically what Iran does anytime the UN checks on it. Why is it anything different? No, it's not. What am I talking about? I'm just talking about facts.
Okay,
you literally just said snake handlers are against snakes.
Okay,
I've been to homeschool where they were holding snakes. So either it didn't happen, which it did, because I've seen photos of it. I've seen it in person. It happened. It's anecdotal, but it's at least happened a few different schools. And so when you're saying that doesn't happen, and they're going, oh, it's not a spurg. You can keep calling it a spurg, but you just said, oh, they want to be held to these standards. A private Catholic school has government people that come and check on it. A private homeschool may, but it's much easier to cover these things up because when I'm witnessing snake handling,
all right, Gibbs, fuck. How long are you going to talk here?
I mean, you just talked for 20 minutes. You can cry more because I'm owning you, but it's fine.
You're a shitty moderator and a shitty debater.
I mean, you
every
just
time you
keep crying.
But the ability to sit here and
spurg
out, constantly interrupt, and not be able to listen to someone says, like, again, here we go, the filibuster. There we go.
I'm not filibustering. You're interrupting me.
The constant interruption, the fucking filibuster.
You keep crying when you do the same thing.
We have things that are
black. I mean, go ahead. I mean, I wasn't done, but now I'm done since you want to spurg. Go ahead. Yeah, you have your time to talk now. You were just giving all these personal insults. Like, go ahead. I
refuse to interact with you because you can't keep your big fat fucking mouth shut.
Oh, okay, cry more. It's okay. Go ahead. Here, let me get a tissue for you. Will that help? Yeah, I got one right here. Come on. What are you doing? You're sitting here bitching. You're making personal insults, not making arguments. Is it because you just got wrecked so hard? That's what's happened? Jesus loves you. Do you want to turn the other cheek? Yeah, I'll turn the other cheek this way. All right, I guess that's a dub for Gibbs. We broke Rob. Easy win. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that win. All y'all need to do to beat Rob is just state facts, and he's gonna cry, go personal insults, and then that's the tactic. Apparently, guys. Now y'all know. In chat, I am the rear admiral because we just owned that ass.
What did I miss? I had to step away to go fill my coffee for a
Gibbs
second.
can't be quiet while someone else talks.
No, you missed a miracle. You missed a Sarah. You missed a good one. It was Peck. It was hilarious. Loki, Gibbs, Mogged. Loki.
Notice how Sarah's not making eye contact with us because she knew exactly what she did. I'm just messing.
Hold on. Who was the seventh person up? Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Dave.
That was fucking awesome.
Well,
all right.
Dave,
and while you guys are whatever just happened, Bruce says, "Why are on this is well, you clearly went to public school. Why are on earth would you want to hand off teaching of your own children to strangers? I don't know.
I went to private school. You mean?
Jess Gerald says Corinth may never be dropped. So says my 70. Also, Sarah said that's the goal. I will count it as the goal, which is a good thing because you guys only had 8 minutes. I'm going to let that timer run a little lower, and then we're going to reset another one. Only Mr. Bill says right versus right debates are more fun. Can Jeb 10 replace K? All right. Say goodnight for a second, K. And Jeb 10 finally making his way up. He's been sitting in line like for the last 4 hours.
Very patiently. Very patiently.
Fair enough. You got to hit that button fast, and you got to have rich friends who want to bring you up.
Yeah. You know.
Well, let's hey, Jeb, don't say anything. Gibbs will want to talk over you. That's the show now. Gibbs just talks over him.
Gibbs just has to know that you love and care about him, and he'll get docile. Okay, he just wants
Gibbs was actually very respectful. You're a pussy, Rob.
No, so anyway,
no.
my issue. Hold on.
Put a shirt on. You're not all that.
My issue is this.
Cover up those fucking scrawny
This whole debate
shoulders.
has hinged. Like,
take your hat off. You're not all that.
Yeah, I agree.
Take the hat
I
off.
rely on my intelligence and debatability.
I ever gonna remember?
Why are we just allowing the sexism? What the fuck?
I know, for real. No, but this whole debate is hinged
Makes
on homeschooling stats that are based on the fact that 6% of students are homeschooled and like 50% of them are public schooled. There's a major selection bias with homeschooled kids in that they have the most active parents in regard to like educational support. But when you look at the Ivy League schools, they are full of kids who went to either public school in their area or private school and had a supportive parent at home. The reason why, if you look at that plane, just having an educationally supportive parent at home, it explains every other educational stat. Homeschoolers may have slightly better standardized test scores, but when you compare them only to the public school kids who have equally alert and supportive parents, they get absolutely trounced in job placement, in college placement, in test scores. Like, you're comparing them against a bunch of public school kids with like absentee fathers and mothers and like one parent in the home who works. And it's just not a fair comparison.
I don't. Question, Jeb.
Oh, sorry, Jeb. Please, Admiral Gibbs.
I will go ahead. I will go ahead. You were talking for 45 minutes before I got on. It's okay. But listen,
was
Jeb,
I? I was
yeah.
here for like 50.
Hold on. I can tell you exactly. Hold on.
His monologue. I wasn't literally finding it was a monologue.
All of you, enough. This was where the chat came in, and Rob came up a few minutes after that. That was at 1:15. It is now 1:43.
Yeah, that's fine. It was still the Rob and Joe show for the like.
Rob, you got 50% of the time monologue. How do you do it?
I have one question. Well, no, there was no bash. It's just y'all were monologuing.
Don't be mad because he wins.
Here's my one question, Joe.
No, wait, Gibbs, don't say that. I'll play a Gibbs here. Come on, Gibbs, don't shove. All you do is make it stupid. Gibbs, Kinetic, you're right. You're right, Kinetic, Gibbs.
Would you agree that the reason why these parents that are like watching and their kids are like watching over them in the top, they're competing level with other people who have the caring parents while being in a public school with other these other people. They're like these people are actually competing at a higher level.
This message is sponsored in part by.
Well, yeah. So anyway, like I said, would you agree, Jeb, that these people that are doing really good are basically because they're in a higher competition
Are you not hearing me, both of you?
Oh, sorry, I was asking you a question.
Stop, both of you.
Okay.
It was good for the first minute, then it gets old. Gibbs, please continue. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Jeb, the question I was trying to ask, I think you're probably going to agree with me, is basically the reason why you're saying these kids in the top 10% of these Ivy League schools, they're competing with more kids at a higher level, and you're comparing top-end schools, like, say, like public schools where they have, like, a proud tradition of doing well. These parents are, like, helicopter parents there. They care, and the kids are competing against other high-level kids, that they're not getting the smaller grouping at the lower levels in homeschool. Would you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, my main point, Ivy League was just an example, but even if you just look at regular success, like just getting married, having a kid, having jobs, every plane of educational statistics is explained by having an active, supportive parent educationally at home that will read with their kid, that'll help their kid with homework, right? Because, right, the biggest educational statistic that always gets brought up is Asians and Indian kids doing so much better than everybody else. Again, that is explained because they have parents that prioritize supporting them in their education. Same thing when you look at like white and black kids in America. Black kids are just less likely to have a parent that can actively support them educationally in the home, and so they tend to do worse. That's that whole sort of we need to find ways to make up for that gap, right? When it comes to anything regarding like child success in health and education or otherwise, it's always about having an expert that does most of the work and a parent that supports that expert. So when you want your kid to be healthy, you take them to the doctor for their checkups and you listen to the doctor, and then you have the parent enforce what the doctor tells them. I think in education, the ideal circumstance, from how the numbers bear out, is having a professional teacher teach the kid and then a parent at home supporting what that professional teacher is teaching the kid. And again, that makes up for those gaps where you have a teacher who is trying to indoctrinate or a teacher who's not very good at their job. If you have an active parent, they can intervene in those cases, and they can make up for the gaps in the public school system. In homeschooling, if the parent isn't attentive enough or isn't good enough at homeschooling, there is no one who can intervene in that process. So that is the reason why I would prefer public schools or even private school as the main educator.
I'm open to talking to Jebtan about this. And now that maybe we have a moderator that'll make sure that Gibbs not just fucking intervening the whole time and Kinetic doesn't think that it's a mogging, I'll answer Gibbs' point. No, having snakes.
I don't think Kinetic thinks it's a mogging.
That's Rob.
Jeb, should we eliminate private schooling because people have snake handling in private schools? Jeb, what do you think?
No.
That's kind of a dumb fucking argument.
Yeah, I disagree with Gibbs's point that you need to not allow people to instill religious values.
Jeff, but wait. But the way he continued to interrupt and not let me answer, that's how you make a point, right? That's how you do it very effectively,
well,
right?
I mean, considering I just was normie voiced and mogged you while just asking the question, I guess.
You didn't mog, Jeb.
Bro,
you didn't mog.
Not Jeb, you got right.
So Gibbs, why don't you leave the fucking big boys talking? You can get out of here.
I mean, well, where are they? I see one of them, Jeb. Where's the other one? I just see fat boys, and I'm a big
Jeb,
boy.
You actually make the best argument. The argument is, particularly with private schools, I'm looking at the prompt to say the status quo, the homeschooling that we have right now, vis-a-vis people that are homeschooled. I think the homeschooling kids show up better. And so therefore the idea that there's no benefit to homeschooling, the data doesn't bear that out. Now, the question though is, would the ideal system be, particularly with a more generalized education, maybe you have it someone closer to home, but a more specific education. So maybe the higher grades you go, 7th, 8th grade, once math gets a little more, has to be more intensive, etc. That might be a different level of home education than like a stereotypical mom could do with like kindergarten education or 1st or 2nd grade. So having that loving parent at home that's involved in education, but the best system would be, as you get more specialized, having an expert that the parent could be involved. I don't necessarily disagree with you that may be the ideal system. My criticism though would be, I don't think that that's the system we have on average with the public education system in here, maybe with the private education system, but I don't think that's an option for many parents. And the data, I would be interested in seeing the data you point out. I get like college placement, shit like that. I could put inroads into why that's necessarily not a good metric. But what you said that I do find interesting is the data that you would have that suggests that involved parents that go to public school, their kids outperform on tests. That's the data that I would be interested in, because I think that's more of a direct comparison.
So why don't they do well in sports, though? In collegiate sports, we know college athletes do better than homeschool kids after the job market, and it's clear, based off Jeb's point here, that they do better whenever it's a competitive environment. Homeschooling just can't recreate that.
Well, it's a socialization.
College has nothing to do with homeschool.
It's a socialization.
It does.
It's a socialization environment. So I think your success in college is important, because I do think you do see a little bit of a cliff in homeschool kids' ability to compete once they get into college. And the reason being that once they're on their own and they don't have as much one-to-one guidance, they haven't necessarily been immersed in an environment like that. But again, in homeschooling, there are ways to control for that. My issue isn't that homeschooling is bad. I like homeschooling. I like public schooling. I like private schooling. I think I like charter schooling a lot. I think school choice is the inevitable end goal. My problem is, if I'm giving a general prescription of what is generally better, I think it is almost ubiquitously true that even though you have such a small percentage, 6% of kids are homeschooled, 6 to 7, and you have that strong of a selection bias, and they still trade blows in the data when it comes to like different metrics of success, right? They're better in standardized tests, but they're not as great in job placement. They're kind of middling in regular state school placement, but they're not as good in Ivy League school placement. It's like, if they're trading blows with that strong of a selection bias, I would say that as a generality, if you don't have like the perfect parent who's ready to homeschool you, I would suggest
hold on.
support your kid at home. Send them to whatever school you can afford for them to go to. Obviously, the best available.
You just said they do worse in job placement, which we agree on. They do worse in Ivy League, which we agree on. Those are the two most important things. Ivy League, the top end. D1 college, which is probably followed up, that they also do worse than that. We talk about collegiate athletics. I also want to point out, everybody on this panel, I'm probably the only one that actually was a D1 athlete. Big deal. That's why Rob's Fergie, no big deal. But
I'm a double dropout. So
hey, that's cool. But my point here is with this, you've just named all the things. If you can't make the top end in collegiate sports, can't make the top end with jobs, you can't make the top end to get into the good colleges, then you're really not making it if you're saying homeschooling is better. And if you're such a small, targeted, selected percentile still not doing this and competing at the highest level, that's scrubbery. Why do we want to have weaker, more docile children? Sounds like we're just making all our kids lip cucks. Why are you a fan of this?
It's not. It sounds like you're a fan of higher education. Being homeschooled doesn't preclude you from being involved in athletics, and homeschool has nothing to do with whether or not you could compete in college athletics. I'd like to see the data that you have that suggests that people that are homeschooled are incapable of accessing college athletics. In addition to that, you said that the most important things like Ivy League, we could see that the higher education system is increasingly turning out people that are being bilked when it comes to the cost of the education that aren't getting jobs that are commiserate to that. In fact, many people I know, although their potential earnings might be less, the fact that they didn't get into debt by going into the higher education system and instead got a trade, many of them that were very successful in public school in athletics, such as the people I know that are carpenters, welders, etc., that happen to be the stars of the football team, etc., and didn't go into higher education, are doing very well. The idea of being placed, that has more to do with sort of the selection bias of these universities intentionally choosing to prioritize people that go to things like public education. But I think that you and Jeb would have to agree, particularly when it comes to Ivy League, but I think you could say this of all secondary or higher education, that they're not exactly choosing based on merit alone. For example, we could see places like Harvard that are being sued because they had racial bias in how they were taking people. So the idea that if it's true that homeschoolers are testing better and yet they're not getting into Ivy League, that seems to be more of an impugnment on Ivy League schools than it would be the people that are being homeschooled.
Well, what about D1 schools then? Like D1 research level universities? Why aren't they doing well there?
I think the same argument would apply to D1 schools, that they also would have a selection bias that would mean that there's other things. Like, for example, you acknowledge this. There are things other than just grades that D1 schools are reflecting on when they decide who to admit, correct?
Yeah, athletic ability, leadership, both things that...
How about race?
I'm not sure if they still do that, but they did.
Well, they did, didn't they? When did they stop?
Recently, I believe.
Okay. So then most of the data you're looking at would still be from when D1 schools were accepting people based on race as one of the criteria, correct?
That's why I focused in on collegiate athletics, right? And that's a big portion of it. And we know that collegiate athletics all the way down to D3, they do better than kids that are homeschooled and don't get in there, because we know for a fact the percentage across all the way from D1 to D3 is like less than 6% across the whole thing, right? For homeschoolers getting in there, because they are just not as competitive. And we know that when you don't have the leadership skills, you don't have the competition, whether it's in school itself or in an athletic facility, then guess what? You're going to fail at life.
I think you're misapplying. I think you're misapplying these statistics. For example, when you're comparing, you have statistics right now that's comparing these two groups: people that got homeschooled versus people that compete in D1 collegiate athletics. Right. Or is the studies you're showing saying people that compete in collegiate athletics do better than people that don't?
They're both. I have both.
Let's see the former. I want to see those, like, with that. You don't have to show it on screen, but I'd just like to hear, like, with that, because I don't even know how you would. The only way that study would make sense, because you're literally comparing a collegiate thing to a high school thing, which seems weird. The only way that would make sense is if the article you're reading or the study you're reading says people that are homeschooled are less likely to go to university, therefore less likely to get into D1 sports.
The reason I don't have to worry about the D1 sports athletics, because when you look up the overall percentage of these, right, and like let's just say it's across the board, which it's not. There's not 6% of homeschoolers in D1, but if we can do 6% across the board for all the way down to D3, we know that collegiate athletes perform better to the rate of 69% to 59% from regular college people, right? Now, here's the kicker. If we apply that 6%, okay, to all of them, guess what? That doesn't help them, because you have such a small number that get in there, and they're usually benched. They're usually like lower tier athletes. That doesn't matter, because even then, they're still not performing better. The key aspect here is the fact that they are athletic, and being in public schools gives them the opportunity to go to college, play athletics at a higher rate than it does as a homeschooler.
And Gibbs, I got to be honest. I think that you're misreading something, or you're not understanding what you're saying. It sounds that you just gave the game away. That you're talking comparatively to college students participating in athletics versus college students that aren't participating in athletics. What I'm asking for is a data suggest. Like, for example, does it take into account that study that you just cited, right? And I'll take it at face value that says people that participate in athletics, I tend to believe that, probably outperform in job placement at collegiate people that aren't in athletics. Does that take into account people that never went to college?
Well, yes, it does. I have studies pointing that out as well. Yeah, that they basically are saying that if you are not, you don't get into college at a high rate, you can't get into these schools as an athletic person. You basically have D1 for sure. You're not getting in as a high school athlete if you're not a high school athlete at a public school. Okay. So if you're none of these things, guess what? You're not even getting the opportunity to do this. Like,
okay, let me. Can I just real quick?
Can I jump in?
Only like, if only 6% go, and all of athletics as a whole from homeschool into that, it's extremely hard to get in. And you have a harder barrier to get past. You understand
and
that, right?
The harder barrier exists because of the collaboration between homeschool and public school. You understand that, right, Gibbs?
Right? Yeah, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for
no. So let me make this very clear, right? Let's say there was a wrestler who was significantly better than you, but was homeschooled. Because they're not,
he wouldn't be able to get in.
Why do you think that is?
Well, one, because he's not going to face the same kind of competition. That's the biggest one. They're not actually going to know he's better than it. Yes,
that's not true.
We do know that because there are options in a lot of these places, like specifically here in Texas.
I already presuppose that they're better than you.
That's fine.
I already presuppose that.
Can I answer your question? I'll answer.
Absolutely.
Sure. The reason why is twofold. One, they're not going to have the pipeline. That's the big one, right? If you have the public high school pipeline, which is what we were just talking about. Two, if they have to go here and compete, we are presupposing they are better than you. I am going to guarantee them that they're more athletic than me, right? Sure. I was a D1 wrestler. There was a lot of people that were better than me, right? However, the problem with this is they're going to have to go the club team route and get picked up by a college recruiter at a club team, which immediately makes it less likely, or they're going to have to do a co-op sports team and hope that they get favorable matchups when they go against public schools in order to show that they're actually athletically better. So this person's not going to have the opportunity.
So
I don't think that's true.
It is true.
Because the travel team my daughter's on, it is private and it is very costly. But she does college showcases all the time and works directly with college athletes.
But Sarah,
also,
even with
sorry, hold on. I just want to say in a lot of, especially the really competitive like wrestling school districts, they allow homeschooled kids to do.
Yeah, my kids go to.
Some do. Yep. Sure, some do.
We had homeschooled kids on my wrestling.
My point here that I'm making is once again that's still a barrier to entry. They're gonna have to go in. They're gonna have to apply. They're gonna have to get in. This is a problem homeschools already automatically have, and a lot of these kids don't go that route. Yes, some schools have the show teams, and some people do this private, like club volleyball teams, club show teams, and there are recruiters, but that's a very expensive route.
Yeah, but I agree.
The thing that I'm hearing here, I'm sorry. The thing that I'm hearing here doesn't sound like a critique of homeschooling, but it sounds like a critique of the public school system. Correct. Because you're basically saying that the public school system is so exclusive that it excludes homeschooled athletes to the point that they might not get the opportunities of their public school counterparts.
They shouldn't have those opportunities.
Which is crazy.
My thing is, I agree with you in the generality. Like we both agree that like public schooling and private schooling, I think, can generally be better as like your core educational thing. I just think focusing on D1 athletes is like such. You're crazy. Another 6%. You're going to another like sort of 6% student population. Even
there are probably more homeschooled kids than D1 ready athletes.
Wrong. Yeah. There's like 3.2 million fucking homeschool kids, period. There's something like every year, like hundreds of thousands across all the athletics, like graduate every year. So like you're talking 3.2 million at every level to like over 100,000 kids plus every year, every 4 years going. Listen, like you're talking several hundred thousand.
Chat, do you hear this right now?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
That was crazy, right?
Oh, you understand what I'm saying? How many colleges are in America?
No,
what's a bigger number? 2.3 million or 100,000?
Okay, listen to what I'm saying. This is just that one sport. If there's one sport, college football, let's just college football, and there's 100,000 athletes in just college football, and say Texas A&M has 223 sports, and there's about, I don't know, 100 kids in each one, and most colleges, not D1, D2, D3, but all these colleges have tons and tons. That number stacks up to more than 3.2 million.
No, that's not true. You're misreading those numbers.
Yeah, you don't know. Also, you don't know that. But it's just my point being, we probably just shouldn't focus on these hyper selective things because we're talking about what is generally better, right? But I'm saying what's generally better. I'm not going to think of what's most likely to make someone a D1 athlete. It's like because that is not a general prescription. Most people are not going to be D1 athletes, and most people are not going to be homeschooled. Most people are looking to get decent ROI on their degree. The reason I brought up Ivy League, which I will admit is another like tight selection, is something Rob said was a little wrong. Ivy League does have the best ROI on college of any college, period.
Sure,
like
I didn't think I said ROI. Otherwise, but fair.
And there was, sorry, I might have misunderstood the comparison with the trades. But what I'm kind of saying is like, in all of these predictors, it sort of predict like a sort of balanced life where you make enough money to survive and you can have a family and you do all these things that we as like primarily conservatives, Joe Lewis isn't one, but like me, Rob, and Gibbs, we're all kind of conservatives. We want people to be able to make enough money to have a family, get married, and do the thing, right? That seems to be the best way to do that seems to be to go to as good of a school as you can afford to send your kid to, and then really robustly support them at home in whatever endeavors they have. Because school has so many built-in things that help kids as they move on, like built-in socialization, a built-in sort of openness where they get to be away from their parents' expectations and sort of pick different electives and activities and sports and things like that. And then the parent can support them in that. And those tend to be the kids that do the best, or they're at the best school that their parents can support, and they're getting as much support out of their parents as their parents can manage.
So two things. Jeb, I actually like this conversation. I think there's nuance here, but to just sort of point out where Gibbs is wrong, not only is I think he misreading the data as opposed to D1 athletics versus homeschooled people, but just the numbers that he's talking about. So a cursory look, and I'll admit, I don't know if this data is accurate, but I'm at least getting data that you tell me, just quick yes or no, Gibbs. Would you say that there's approximately 190,000 D1 athletes this year, 2024, 2025 in the United States?
Sure, and then the numbers I have say about 530,000 graduate every year from between D1 and D3, which is smaller than your 3.2.
Okay, but then you have to realize, this is why I asked for yes or no. Now we're going into a different.
Then you have to realize over time they've been having D1 athletes and all these athletes for 50,
Gibbs, I'm going to get to this. I just wanted to see if we agreed with the numbers, okay? Sure. Then the numbers seem to suggest, you tell me if you think this is wrong, there's about 3.7 million homeschooled kids in K through 12.
Sure.
Okay, what you're going to say is, but the reason that 100,000's more is because that's every year. But the same is true of the 3.7 million. Now, what I will give you is this. We're only looking at a 4-year slice. What's that?
It's about 1/13 of the 3.7 million every year.
That's the problem,
right? So,
which is still higher than the 200,000, just to be clear.
Okay, so let me finish my point, please. Let me finish my point, please.
It's not higher than 530,000, though.
So what you could do is you could look at this, and the one area that I'll give Gibbs is a little right, that it's not a direct apples-to-apples comparison. Yes, while it's true that you have 3.7 million homeschooled every year versus, we'll say, roughly 200,000 D1 athletes, that you can't just look at those numbers one-to-one because the D1 athletes are only 4 years, whereas the K through 12 are 13 years, right? So we'll just narrow it down to 12 years. So then we would say, fine, then multiply the D1 by 3. And that would give you over a 12-year span, the average that you would see versus the K through 12. That would be about right. Now, my math, I'm not the greatest mathematician because I went to public school, but if we take 4 times 200,000, that gives us 800,000, which is precipitously lower than the 3.7 million. Way lower. And so you're so confused about this.
Really? Well, yes. That's interesting because I said 530,000 was the overall from all the way D1, D3, which is interesting.
But that's saying also D3.
Hold on. Because if we're going to talk about what's his name just said here, we say about 1/13 of these homeschoolers are graduating, right? That's 284,000, which then puts the number of D1 to D3 athletes as a higher number than what you're saying. So we're looking at a top 10%, top 6% that is applicable to this.
You sound like Scott Steiner.
I read philosophy.
There's the GOAT.
Just to be clear, from NCAA reports around 500,000 total athletes, not just D1 athletes. So this number is going to be applicable to what Rob was saying before.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why you changed it. Your claim was D1, and then immediately you're like,
I've
oh,
said
but
D1
also
to D3
D3
about 50 times. Hold on, I've said D1 to D3 about 50 times in this thing so far. Listen, I don't know
because you shifted the ground, and it made us act like the ground wasn't shifted.
I mean, or it just follow point A to point B. That's kind of.
I think it's such a diversion from the conversation we're having because it's just such a small group of people.
And look, like,
the reason why it's important is because they're direct the comparison.
If I were to like interrogate Rob, Jeb, maybe even you, Gibbs, maybe even Cora, because I've spoken in a bit, my mental is very close to, I hate to use this word, I hate to use this group because I know the chat might go crazy. It's kind of like the Black Panthers, and particularly Bobby Seale. Bobby Seale understood that, hey, there's a world that I want, and there's a world that I want the world to be, but at the same time, I have to engage with what is in front of me. So in the current state of affairs, if I had to choose between homeschooling my child and going to public school, then sure, I'm probably going to have to do, for me, it's hybrid. I'm going to teach my child in the specialties that I'm specialized in, and then I'm going to do public school to do all the rest of the work. I think for most people who have certain specializations, that's probably going to be the case. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think that I'll answer that. I think that might be fair. And here's what I have. I think that there is a little bit of a correlation causation problem that Jeb Tan gets to. What I would be interested in looking at is homeschooled kids versus private schooled kids, because it seems to me that there's a certain barrier to, if you have enough interest to send your kid to private school, let alone the means, forget about the means just for a second, just the interest, to take more interest in your school by sending them, or the education by sending them to private school, what do those numbers look like? And the problem is, all the data I'm looking at lumps in both private and public school versus homeschooling. And that becomes problematic because then the lowest tier of public school is also lumped in with potentially very high tier private schooling. For example, we can see that charter schools are markedly better than public schools. So if I, as a parent, am trying to make a decision, okay, and I did make this decision, my son's 4, right? I have a ton of people in my audience that are Orthodox Christians that are like, what are you doing sending your kid to school? You should homeschool them. Well, the decision I made was, would it be worth me and my wife trying to homeschool vis-a-vis sending them to a Catholic school where he has a class size of 6 people, where the principal's my wife's cousin, where we know all of the teachers, right? We're involved every single day, right? And so it would be interesting if you could look at 2 situations. Would my kid end up better post 6th grade, better educated at this private Catholic school, or if my wife decided to teach him at homeschool? And my guess is, in my unique situation, this is anecdotal, I think he'd be better at the private school. But the prompt is, the way I'm looking at the prompt is, a lot of this, people might not have the means or the access to send their kids to a good private school. So then if you had to make the decision for your kindergartner, am I going to send them to a public school? Maybe you live in the inner city and these public schools are brutal, right? Or maybe you live in a rural area and there's just not a lot of resources in these public schools. Probably at that point, it makes sense at that point to homeschool your kid. But if you need it, like Joe, maybe here's a point you can understand. I don't know shit about music. Neither is my wife. So in that sense, if my kid says I want to be a musician, or my kid says I want to be a scientist or an engineer, and it's a field, we got to outsource it somewhere, right?
Outsource the shit out of that.
I would think. You mentioned something interesting though.
Sorry, Gibbs. Just so the chat knows, you have exactly 8 minutes. There you are, Kel. Finally, you're back. You have exactly 8 minutes to figure out your situation with that dono goal. You know the drill down. Once we get past 1 a.m., if you don't keep hitting the goals, I go night-night. It's DGen Power Hour, and you have to pay for the next round. So it's up to you, chat. Gotcha. So far, you're 0 out of 10 on the dono goal, and you have exactly 7.5 minutes to unfuck that.
Kel, I just want to say, I apologize for it looked like you were intentionally showing